Yeah.
The following is brought to you by the People's National Party.
Make the trumpets play. Jamaican people want better. Economy coming like stormy weather. Ancestors are turning on them grave. They can tell me how we can do it together. When we look to the future of precipice, we see Jamaica needs the vision of the PNP. People said the bag of promises, them can't carry go shop. And the crime rate getting higher, wonder when it goes now, comrades. Jamaican people want better. Economy coming like stormy weather. Ancestors are turning on them grave. They can tell me how.
The proceeding was brought to you by the People's National Party. The following is brought to you by the People's National Party.
Make the trumpets play. Jamaican people want better. Economy coming like stormy weather. Ancestors are turning on them grave. They can tell me how we can do it together. When we look to the future of precipice, we see Jamaica needs the vision of the PNP. People said the bag of promises, them can't carry go shop. And the crime rate getting higher, wonder when it goes now, comrades. Jamaican people want better. Economy coming like stormy weather. Ancestors are turning on them grave. They can tell me how.
The proceeding was brought to you by the People's National Party.
I know why you come to me with that foolishness, you know. You elect a prime minister, and is a prime minister run the country. It is time we learn to hold our leaders accountable for their actions and stop making excuses for them. Stop making excuses. Otherwise, go elect the people who really run in the country. And I don't want the right side that stupid argument. Hold the people you elect accountable. And stop making excuses for them.
Hello, welcome. Happy Tuesday. Happy
Yes.
Tuesday to
Getting
Happy
confused.
Tuesday to those in television land. Happy Tuesday to our silent supporters. Happy Tuesday to everyone in the chat. Thank you so much for tuning in. Really appreciate each and every one. Tonight's topic is a country and economy in crisis, and we have in studio our guest Conrad O'Brien, who will be joining us who will be on screen with us shortly. Also, Mr. Rattigan and Daisy is also gonna be here. Remember, guys, when you come in, thumbs up the live, share us out if you can, and if you are new to the channel, please show us some support by subscribing. That will be greatly appreciated. Let me just quickly welcome those in the chat. Doris McCoy, Beverly, Godson, Youngans, Patel Cruikshank, Rennie Swaby, Dwight Tyndale, Cynthia B, or channel member, Don Mel, Larry Beckford, Sonia Wilson, Jeanette Letts, Dave Wedderburn, Janet Jones, mixed in with the Mofats, Ashani Marcus, welcome. Thank you so much for tuning in. Without any further delay, I'm going to hand over to Baron so I can do some housekeeping, and then we will have our guest on screen. Michael Urquhart, another of our channel members, welcome.
Okay, all right.
Laverne Baker, welcome.
Thank you thank you for that, honey. Again, wonderful precursor there. Really appreciate that. For folks who are tuning in, of course, wifey is not feeling too well. She's under the weather, right? And you can hear it from her voice. But tonight is going to be quite intuitive. Of course, quite inspirational. We have one of our sensational person in studio, which is Conrad O'Brien, right? He will be taking us through some subject matter that I will be presented. And of course, we'll have a panel interaction, so to speak. Again, also Ratigan is here with us in studio, and we're gonna have Daisy Magazine right tuning in later. Without any delay, I'm just going to bring Conrad and Ratigan in space of the panel. First, I want to say thank you. I have my distinguished gentleman here tonight, right? I want to say a big thanks for Conrad Bryan passing through. Of course, Will Ratigan is no stranger. And I'm just going to use the opportunity, Conrad. I know that, of course, right, you have your platform, and many people have been acquainted with you, right? So I am just for the sake of you, the first time being a Mystic Sensation, I'm just going to give you the opportunity to just briefly, right, introduce yourself, and then I move to Ratigan, and then, of course, we get into the program. Sir Conrad Bryan, once again, I want to say big thanks to make it on Mystic Sensation, sir.
All right, just a bit of correction there. My name is O'Brien, Conrad O'Brien.
Okay, thank you for that correction.
All right.
Yes.
Good. And good evening, everyone. A pleasure being here. As I said before, the name is Conrad O'Brien, talk show host on Mainstream Radio News Talk 93 FM. We broadcast from the University of the West Indies Mona campus on Mondays and Tuesdays from 9 a.m. until midday. And indeed, we speak truth to power. We are in nobody's corner or payroll, so we speak unfettered, and indeed the truth is really our mantra. So therefore, in a nutshell, that's who I am. I have been at this for a little while now. We used to be on Hot 102. I'd spent some time there, but I'm at News Talk 93 for about 5 years now, and counting. And indeed, it's a wonderful opportunity to be on radio, being behind that microphone, and help to shape the narrative, as it were. So I hope I'll be able to contribute in a positive way to your program this afternoon or tonight, Mystic. All right?
Yes, thank you very much, Brother Conrad O'Brien. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So of course, I'm just going to get to Ratigan, and then we, sit back and just let me run a few clips, and then of course we get into the art of the program. Rati, without the opportunity is yours, sir. Right.
Yes. Blessings. Anne-Marie, Byron, all of you in the chat, all of you listening, watching, and to my brother, dear friend, colleague, confidant, the one and only Conrad O'Brien. No, aka the fireman. And I must correct him. Can I correct you, Byron? And I say name is Conrad O'Brien, right? Let me correct him. Him said, this is the one Conrad O'Brien who speak truth to power, and then him go on and go on and go on. But him leave out a piece. Speak truth to power no matter who the guy is.
Absolutely, no matter who the guy is, and hence they dub me as a fireman.
Right. He left out a piece there, and the other piece, Conrad is a kind of Conrad modest, overly modest, because him say, I hope to contribute to the discussion tonight. Conrad will contribute to the discussion tonight. The man is a reservoir of information. The man is talented.
All
the
right.
man is everything that you expect from a professional. In fact, the man is a consummate professional.
Yes.
So it's always a pleasure when I join him on stage, because it's just like when I come around here on a Tuesday night, Mystic, I learn from you and Anne-Marie and the group. I also learn from Conrad whenever I have him on, or sometimes when I just listen to him, I learn something and then I can incorporate it in what I do on a Saturday. So it's a pleasure being here, and it's a pleasure being among this distinguished group.
All right. Okay. Having said that, right, let me again, being thankful for Conrad O'Brien, right, to be in studio with us. All right. Without any delay, we are going to get into the program. And of course, we are going to give some reflection as it relates to the Jamaica Labour Party conference, right? And in so doing, we are going to be just play some clips as it relates to, right, some response that, coming from the opposition as well, right? So we'll be getting to those. Without any delay, what we are going to do, we're just going to go through some clips. And then, of course, we are going to get to the panel to break down certain subject matter, right? So without any delay, let us proceed. Wifey, could you bring up the government of Jamaica increase? Please,
Starting with that one?
no, let me see something here. Okay. So yes, what we're going to start with 876 Machiavelli Golden PM announcement. Right, we are going to get to Mark Golden's announcement today, right? And just tune in on that. Right. So let us find that. All right, we are coming up with that clip.
It's something else.
9 years. That's how PNP president.
Not hearing.
Golding has again described the leadership of the current JLP administration. He told reporters at a press briefing that all the announcements made by Prime Minister Andrew Holness were mere election promises.
What is needed is strong and capable leadership to drive down electricity costs in Jamaica through a transformation of the energy sector. The PNP has a plan to achieve this and a shadow minister with a track record of achieving it. We will bring modern legislation as we've done before and massive investment to the energy sector. And for that, our record speaks for itself.
Now, shadow spokesman on energy, Philip Paulwell, says the energy sector is being grossly mismanaged under the JLP government.
To solve the energy crisis, you have to have laser-like focus on both energy generation and energy transmission and distribution. It won't be solved by some half-baked, cynical, hand-wringing scheme at the 11th hour on the eve of national elections.
The PNP president also took a jab at the PM's Aspire program, which he announced last week. Aspire Jamaica is the government's new policy framework for inclusive growth. It outlined 6 critical pillars for transforming Jamaica into a modern, productive, and prosperous society. These are access to economic opportunity for all, safety and security, people, infrastructure development, reform of the bureaucracy, and economic diversification or new industries.
Aspire, as his new program is called, is just another PR exercise. It does not inspire and can only expire. The JLP government will continue to fail the people. Furthermore, this is a government without credibility to back up promises. 8 of their members of parliament, including the Prime Minister himself, are under investigation for the corruption offense of illicit enrichment.
Shane Masters, TVJ News.
All right. Let us play the other part of that clip where Mark Golden finish up. Money. Oh, hold on. Daisy Magazine is here. Sister Maria, welcome to the panel. Right. Let me just give you the opportunity before.
Thank you.
To greet.
Thank you. Thank you, Mystic. Thank you, Sister Anne Marie. Hallelujah, Brother Ratty. and to Conrad O'Brien. Praise the Lord, my friend. Praise the Lord. Welcome to the club. Around here, we just we bring the fire and the fun. You understand me? We're fierce, fabulous, and we like to bring the fun. But I'm happy to be here, and to everybody in the chat. You know, God bless. Hope your week is going well so far, and let's get this party right.
All right. The next clip that we are going to play is where Mark Golden is alluding, right, to some racial that was stated during the Jamaica Labour Party conference. And of course, it seems like there's no correction coming from the leader. So I just want people to listen in as it relates to some of the political rhetoric, right? You're just, popping up racial tension within the Jamaica Labour Party base. And it seems like that's a message that, of course, they are disseminating. All right, so let us tune in on this, right? Go ahead on it.
Attempts to use my color as a political battering ram smacks of desperation on their part. It is unprecedented. I don't think any political leader has faced what I have been facing in this regard. And it is because they see that the tide is turned against them. And the people of Jamaica are fed up with them, the dishonesty, the lack of integrity, and the government pursues policies that don't benefit the people in a direct way. So people have lost hope, people want change. And I suppose I'm the embodiment of that as the leader of the opposition, and therefore they're trying to attack me. And in a sense, I'm flattered that all they can really attack me on is the color of my skin. I'm somebody who grew up here. My wife is an African Jamaican, beautiful woman, and my children are born in Jamaica, and I'm a proud Jamaican citizen. So I think that this is a sad turn of events, and I'm very disappointed in the leadership of the Jamaica Labour Party that they tacitly encourage this kind of behavior, because to me it indicates a lack of principle on their part. And Jamaica is part of the family of nations. We live in a world which is very connected. And other countries, other races of people are looking on and saying, how is it that the government of Jamaica is allowing a junior minister or a former minister, 2 MPs, to be using racial taunts and slurs as a source of attacking a political opponent. It's very bad form, and it's unfortunate for Jamaica, and it really needs to stop.
All right. So there we have it as it relates to Mark Golden concern as it relates to those sort of racial political rhetorics that that is out there. Totally unacceptable, right? But before we go to the panel, I just want to give some reflection as it relates to the evidence in terms of what Mark Golden is talking about, as it relates to the utterances, the racial utterances coming from Juliet Cuthbert, and of course, also Warmington. So let us quickly go through those 2 clips, and then now we just dive into the panel. Play the evidence of which Mark Golden speak, Juliet Cuthbert Flynn, right? Let's get into some of what she stated there.
To reject Mark Golden.
And he is a man who believes in holding chains around the neck of Black people. And then a missus and him I take picture, a whole chain around my neck, the rest of my neck. We have to say no to Marky British, because he's a man who loves to show off, him love to boast, and say him done rich already. We don't need a man like that. We have to say no to the man that is leading the PNP, who love to style black people and call them little boy and little lady. We have to say no to the man who tell us out of his own mouth that him want to run Jamaica with himself and him Tapanaris friend them. We have to say no to the PNP Tapanaris man and him friend Peter Bunting, who's really the leader. Because they are the same ones who had a company years ago that benefited from the wicked PNP policies, and they made millions off the backs of the Jamaican people. Some of them suffered brutally. They even committed suicide, and we have to say no to them. We have to say no to the PNP Tapanaris men whose company was investigated for anti-corruption. We have to say no to them because we know that we have the better leader. My fellow Jamaicans, it is very clear that we have to say no to Marky British and yes to our God-blessed Prime Minister Andrew Michael Holness. Show a labor right.
Usually we indecisive.
Wait. All right, take that away. I want to just turn to the panel here, and of course, I'm going to utilize Conrad O'Brien since he's the guest, right? Conrad.
Yes,
the political atmosphere is thick, and the strife of political rhetoric that hinge on racial slur that you can hear there. Now, I am somewhat been surprised as it relates to a conference where you think that the Jamaica Labour Party would have gotten the opportunity as it relates to going down the final track in the eve of a general election, and they would come out with some policies that would convince people. They would come out with, explaining certain achievements, certain accomplishments. But what we have seen, right, is the political atmosphere poised, right, with the sort of political rhetoric that hinge on racism. What say you on that subject matter, Mr. O'Brien?
All right, good evening again, panelists, and let me hail everyone who is on the feed, both here in Jamaica and indeed the diaspora and across the globe. A pleasure being here. When you attempt to spread lies, innuendos, half-truth, and so on, you end up talking foolishness. Because in the first place, you don't investigate anti-corruption. You investigate corruption. All right, so I just want to point that out to MP Cuthbert. Before I get deep into it, I'll say that this is a lady that in her heyday on the track, she brought some amount of joy to all of us in Jamaica when we cheered for her. However, it is really sad that in her political career, both inside and outside of her party, she shows a level of disrespect to her own members of her own party, people within her own apparatus in her constituency. A video had been purloined with her using all sorts of expletive and dealing with her members of her constituency in a very disrespectful way. That said, no less a person than gynecologist Michael Abrams in the opinion piece, opinion commentary of the old lady of North Street, the Gleaner, has an article today, and the heading of it is JLP's normalization of racial prejudice and bigotry. And indeed, that's what we saw at the conference and Sunday, with persons trying to paint Mark Golden in a particular way. But I'll say this, that here is something that Mark Jefferson Golden, the man Marky G, as I dubbed him, has going for him. We have people here in Jamaica of all hue, from a PJ Patterson that one could refer to as the Prime Minister with the darkest skin in Jamaica that delivered, to Portia Simpson, Edward Siaga, Michael Manley, all of them. But among all the names, and we can do the analysis and drill down, but certainly on the lips of most people, I almost say everyone, but I'll say most people that reside here in Jamaica or outside of Jamaica, Jamaicans, if you ask them anytime who is the most noted Prime Minister of Jamaica, they will say Michael Manley. Now, Mark Golden, the last time I checked, in terms of his complexion, he is not different or much different from a Michael Manley. I was up in Northern Clarendon on Friday covering the by-election there. And when I woozed my way through the crowd, all I was hearing from people, boy, Mark remind me of Michael Manley. Therefore, that is one of the things that they're seeing coming through with Mark Golden. And I think it is hitting a raw nerve within the Labour Party. There's something that she said about Mark boastful and said that him having money, him done rich already. First thing, Mark Golden don't speak in those terms. Mark would tell us as Jamaicans that, listen, he made a successful life or career outside of the politics. Therefore, he is coming into the politics to serve without any encumbrances or, people to fear that, listen, he is coming in without nothing, so he's looking something. Right? And I am not aware that the company that Mark Golden, Peter Bunting, and the other gentleman there, Mr. Deering, I'm not aware that the company that they formed, the former Deering, Bunting, and Golden, that was purchased by the Scotiabank Group, was under any form of investigation. What we know, indeed, is that the present Prime Minister, and we assert no guilt, certainly I don't assert any guilt at this point. However, what we know is that the Integrity Commission, the IEC, has presented to Jamaica on the world a document of 171 pages. Here is it. This is the hard copy I have here. And I can tell you that it makes very, very interesting reading, and it's not glorifying the Prime Minister at all. To the point where the Prime Minister has taken the IEC to court and asking the court to rule against certain things, including the aspect of illicit enrichment within the Integrity Commission Act. And that is in the court, and all Jamaicans, I'm sure us in Jamaica and you guys overseas, I am sure that we're all waiting with bated breath for the 6th of December, because it's going to be a very, very interesting commentary and reading coming out of the courts.
All right. All right. You know, thank you, Conrad, for that. This is why we have the fireman, so to speak, here tonight. And tonight is going to get really fiery as we touch on other topics. But I want to say wonderful input coming from Conrad O'Brien there. So, of course, let us move with our wonderful and beautiful lady, of course, on the panel. Daisy Magazine, come on. All right, cue in for us, right, as it relates to what you have just heard.
Yeah, that's more there. That's more. Yes. Thanks for saying that, Conrad. And, you know, she was reading her speech that was written. And if that was something that was written and that is what she said, I can only imagine what she would say had she not written something on a piece of paper. And I'm reminded of the motto, Jamaica's motto, out of many, one people. If she's sitting in the parliament and don't understand the meaning of that motto, she should not be there. When she comes to Mark Golding the way she did, and they say, well, you know, you can't even talk about Warmington because he doesn't know any better. So you have to just ignore ignorance. When you talk about him, you are belittling yourself just to mention his name and to so you have to just, you know, you have to pity the fool. You have to pity him. So I won't even talk about it. I'm going to address her. You have to put him aside, because if he doesn't behave that way, he is not relevant. So he has to behave like a skettle, lift up his frock and show his slip to show that, you know, he can behave like dirty girl. We know that. So we don't have to go there with him. Yeah, enough of him. But with her, she has been on a different stage, as you said, representing a country. And in representing the country, she lived in a country where you had people that looked like Mark Golding and even lighter than Mark Golding. How did she feel about those people? You have tourists coming into the country. She's a Minister of State in the Ministry of National Security, square peg in a round hole. How does she respond when such things come across her desk, such behavior? We look at young people, we see how they're acting out. And we look at the leaders and we say, but aren't they mimicking what they see from the leaders in terms of their speech and their behavior? Because if the leaders can speak that way and not be held accountable, why should they not do the same? But I also have to think about a line in the national anthem that says, teach us true respect for all.
Indeed.
And if she doesn't understand the duty to which she's called and the higher calling that is put up on her when she sits in that parliament, then she needs to step aside. And I don't want to hear about this woman thing. Miss me with that nonsense. Miss me with that. The things that have come out of her mouth, you know, in recent months and over a year, it's despicable. Despicable. I see say a situation. Remember now, she was the Minister of State in the Ministry of Health when she went to Jubilee to give a package to an underage girl, a child who had given birth. That is the same Juliet Cuthbert we're talking about, right? And she gave that package to that young girl. Was there any follow-up investigation into why is this underage child gave birth to this? What was the situation? Was it statutory? What were the conditions? What were the circumstances of that child's life? How is she today? All these are the things we see happening, and Juliet Cuthbert sits in the parliament as a woman. Things happening against violence against girls and women are at an all-time high in Jamaica. We don't hear anything from her as a woman. Yet she has strength and she says disgusting and despicable things with her full chest about the opposition leader, a duly elected member of the Jamaican parliament. He has every right to be there. Now, I have to say this, that when people, I hear them talk about, people talk about Siaga and whatever, the situation with Siaga is totally different and they need not conflate the issues.
Yes.
Edward Siaga was not born in the Commonwealth. Therefore, people took issue with him coming into a situation, coming into a Jamaican space and doing the things that he did. And I would dare say, rightly so. And given the things that he did, his actions, how he sabotaged a party and the people for the sake of power, we have every right to rake him over the coals, even in his death. Okay? As I personally feel that there should be an investigation into what happened in the 70s and all those people, because you still have persons that were a part of that party, Mike Henry, Desmond McKenzie, many of them who were in that party to the sabotage that took place. And I digress. Let's move on. When you talk about Mark Golding, he has no control over where he was born and the family that he was born into. None of us have control over that. But when you look at the contribution that his father and his mother, his parents made to the Jamaican society, I am going to ask Juliet Cuthbert, has she ever been serviced, had to do any kind of rehabilitation for any purposes, given her involvement in athletics at the Mona Rehabilitation Center? Because if she has, then she has no right to disparage and speak and be dismissive of Mark Golding and his involvement in the political space that he is entitled to be in. Him going back to all of this about the color of his skin and why he was in the parliament having a British passport. If we go down that rabbit hole, then we're going to talk about Matthew Sumuda, who was born in London. But we don't talk about it because he has every right to sit in the parliament. This just the same, because he was born in the Commonwealth. When you look at the top 1% in Jamaica, who are the movers and shakers in the country? Who do they look like? What percentage of those persons are honest to God? My complexion, your complexion, Mystic and Marie, Ratty complexion, or Conrad's complexion. So you cannot go down that route because you are setting people up to be attacked for no reason. And you are saying to the young Jamaican people in a society that is written just right now on ABC News was the mass shooting yesterday. So let's get this through our heads that this is not a game. So in a society a high crime society like Jamaica, she should not be doing this. She ought to know better and she ought to understand the consequences of her actions and that her words carry weight. People are listening. People are listening. Young people are looking on. Is this the best use of her time? Is this the best that can come out of her? What? She's a minister of state in the Ministry of National Security, for crying out loud. I don't know why she's there, because she works so hard to come second. I have no idea why she's there. She's not qualified to be there. But you would think that given that she's the least qualified to be in that ministry, she would avail herself of the knowledge to come forth with some policies. Since the minister is sleeping on the job, she would come forth with some policies to address the crime situation in the country, and especially as it affects young people This is a non-issue. Talking about a person, come with policies, not personal attacks. Not personal attacks. I heard no policies from her. All I heard was grievances, and she's stuck in the was. Right now we are in is. What are you doing right as we speak? What have you done for me lately? Not what happened 1995. No. We're talking about 2024, November 24th, when they had their conference. I'm ashamed to say that it saddens me. It really saddens me that this is the best that can come from Juliet Cuthbert.
If I may, Mystic?
Yes, go ahead.
If I may, I gather, well, first of all, when Juliet Cuthbert Flynn spoke on Sunday, if you look at on the platform of the Jamaica Labour Party 81st annual conference, then you would recognize that a number of persons who sat on the platform look quite like Mark Golden. And that, if you do the analysis or do the check here in Jamaica, you will recognize that of that small percentage of people in Jamaica that carries the complexion of a Mark Golden, maybe a good 80% of them support the Jamaica Labour Party. Therefore, the information that I am receiving is that it did not go down well with some people who may have weren't on the platform, but even outside, in Jamaica, who look at it and they're not quite happy at all, because they're saying that, listen, this was said on the platform of the Jamaica Labour Party, and there was no one, basically, no condemnation of it from the leadership of the Jamaica Labour Party. So there are some cause for concern, and I gather that a number of people are not so happy, number of Labourites who are of the hue of a Mark Golden. They're not so happy at all, because they're seeing this very ugly situation being raised in Jamaica. And as you correctly said, the violent nature of Jamaica. We saw the report last week where it says that last week is certainly the most bloody week here in Jamaica. And it may be among the bloodiest historically in Jamaica. We saw where today they up and it said 50 persons were killed, murdered within a week. You just pointed out, my sister, that it was carried at an ABC News, the mass shooting, right? So that is the kind of situation. And whenever you start to attack a group of persons in Jamaica, those of you who live in the United States, you saw what happened recently when Vance and Donald Trump go after the Asian community in Ohio. And what happened? People have to go to pull their children from school. This is not far-fetched in any society. And that is why it is so egregious and must be condemned at all levels. And we need to draw a line in the sand and say, listen, this politics in Jamaica, it's a competitive sport. People are jockeying for the top job. And indeed, what we need to do is to have the cut and thrust, the competitive politics, but be respectful at best and be careful of the rhetoric. And I think these are some of the things why people were calling on my program today and asking questions like why they did not see Bruce Golding at the conference on Sunday. Is it that Bruce is somewhat turned off and upset with a number of things that are taking place within the Labour Party under the auspices of Andrew Michael Brogard Radham Holness? These are questions that are out there. And indeed, I believe that Juliet Cuthbert Flynn owe this country an apology.
I'm going to have Brother Rattigan now comes slide in the space as it relates to, what we are addressing with the political atmosphere so thick, right? The political rhetoric that hinge, right, on those racial slur. And we have to remind them as it relates to what happened, right, where the very same thing as it relates to Hitler, right, anti-Semitism, and where we have seen, right, millions of Jews are being executed, right? So we have to remind them of situations like that in this space. Brother Rattigan, without any further ado, please take the place.
Thank you. A dear friend of mine and a supporter of the program just sent me something saying, a pig with lipstick is a pig with lipstick. No change. Let me just say that I was prepared to talk about Aspire, but I can just dismiss Aspire as just more promises going back to 2015, 2016 to now. So we'll just forget about access to security, all that. This young lady, Juliet Cuthbert Flynn, she was the junior minister in the Ministry of Health and Wellness, and she's presently the junior minister in the Ministry of National Security. You would think that she would go up there and highlight the achievements of her ministry. This is what people who are disrespectful, disingenuous, and people who are incompetent, this is what they do. They don't talk about issues, they talk about people. She got up there and she started talking about the man color and this and that. And I was expecting to hear from her to say, well, we have a new program to fight crime. And this is what we're going to do. And I mean, it would still be another promise. But you expect to hear that because that's her portfolio, right? That's where she came from. But we didn't hear that weird nonsense. And as Sister Maria said, it was a prepared speech. And when you have a prepared speech, you have time to really craft it. You're not speaking on the fly. And as my brother pointed out, Conrad, when she said is not investigated for anti-corruption, you don't investigate anti-corruption. You have an anti-corruption agency to investigate corruption. So this is what happened. Going back to what Sister said, this is what happens when you take a square peg and try to fit them in a round hole. She's like,
what the youth man say, fully done.
It's like yes, sir. It's like she's a fish out of water. She's a fish out of water because she didn't talk about the plans. And you would think, here's how I look at it. I don't care if the man come from Mars. She says, as long as the man is doing what is in the best interest of the Jamaican people. That's what we care about. Because guess what? We've had prime ministers who look like us or close to us, who did terrible things to the economy and to the people of Jamaica. In fact, look, we have one right now. Who definitely is not a white man. And look at what's going on for the last, 9 years or so? Look at what's going on. It's just promise after promise after promise, broken promises, all of them. And so I made some notes here. We shouldn't forget that we said that the prime minister and other people didn't say anything, but we should keep in mind that this appears to be a tactic, and it's a tactic of desperation, because we shouldn't forget that Dr. Clark called the opposition leader, Master Mark, in Parliament And nobody on that side came out and disavow it and said, no, this is not right. This is not, this is beyond what we stand for. Nobody said that. And so it's open season. It's free reign. They can describe people how they want to describe them. But Jamaican people, remember this. The description is not going to put food on your table. Calling Mark Golding a white man, calling him all of these names won't help you to put food on. It won't make you sleep with your windows and doors open. Those things are policy driven and fully executed. And what we're seeing an absence of those things in Jamaica right now. We're not seeing policy, we're seeing promises of when say we're going to make you what the word they use, prosperity, promises of prosperity. And what we're seeing is the reality of poverty. That's what we're seeing. People are getting poorer and poorer in Jamaica. In fact, it was Cliff Hughes, and Cliff Hughes is, by all accounts, he supports, and there's nothing wrong with him. You can support whoever you want to support, but he came.
Yes, from all accounts, he is a strong supporter of the present government. Indeed,
right. But he came out and he said people are poorer now than they were at the beginning of this year, and it's going to get worse, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, family. It is going to get worse. I told them before, no mistake. I told them months ago, because I have a link in, I have some links in the highest elements of the government. And I was told that this Christmas, this December 25th, holidays, it's going to be one of the worst economically. And we're seeing signs of it. The economy dipped by almost 3%, right? Prices are going up, inflation up, and wages stagnant. And what we have growthless jobs. We have jobs that don't provide any growth to the economy. Why? Because we're not making anything. It's just a service-oriented thing. And when it's a service, it's not like a Dubai where they have financial services, and they have this service. No, this is a service. This is indentured servant services where we're paying $2 American dollars an hour. We collect $400 for the room, and you pay the person who clean the room $16 for the day. It cannot work like that. Cannot work. Let me see if I have anything more here. The illicit enrichment piece. The illicit enrichment piece. Actually, it's not found in the Integrity Commission Act. It's found in the Corruption Prevention Act, section 14, subsection 5. But it's interesting because now I'm going to burn some fire upon the Integrity Commission, because here's what it says. It says, where a public servant owns assets disproportionate to his lawful earnings, and upon being requested by the commission or any person duly authorized to investigate an allegation of corruption against him, to provide an explanation as to how he came by such assets, he fails to do so or gives an explanation which is not considered to be satisfactory, he shall be liable to prosecution. So now, I am saying what Integrity Commission should have done based on subsection 14, subsection 5. Let me explain it. People, where it says that if you have money and your lifestyle and your lifestyle don't support your salary, you make a dollar, but when they look on your lifestyle, you live $100 lifestyle, something wrong. And them say the Integrity Commission, now they can come in and say, if you're a public servant, where you get the other $99 from? Because you only have $1 to spend, but you have 99. Where it come from? And if you fail to tell them where you get the 99 from, or you tell them, say, I walk, and you find it, and them don't believe you, you can be prosecuted. Now, what happened? And Conrad mentioned it. What happened with the Integrity Commission's investigation? They said the Prime Minister failed to provide information that they asked for, and that's why they have referred it to the FID. Why the hell didn't they charge him? You know why? Because they don't trust the corruption prosecutor. They don't trust the corruption prosecutor, and they don't trust the DPP. But I said, go ahead and still do it, but they didn't. They passed it over. So, look, I could go on and on, but it's a panel discussion, and so I'll just yield to the host and the hostess.
Okay.
Before you move on, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Maria.
No, I was glad to talk about the illicit enrichment piece. the Minister of State in the Ministry of National Security talked about investigating anti-corruption, but she's not talking about the investigation of the Prime Minister, who she says is a humble man, but he's a humble man with 28 bank accounts. So she is upset with the man who worked his way up through different, his own business, a corporate attorney, worked his way through. You can see, have a paper trail. You can follow his paper trail. She's upset with that man, but she's not upset with the one who is yet to have his statutory declaration certified, and he has 28 bank accounts. 28, and they're Jamaican. As a matter of fact, there are thousands of those same persons in that conference jumping up and saying, yeah, and shaking a bell and talking about shower labor right, who do not even own one bank account, yet he has 28.
One quick thing before Conrad, you come in. She also said, quote, "We know we have the better leader." This woman, by saying that, is what you call a non-compos mentis. She's of unstable mind. She come out and say, we have a better leader. We know we have a better leader who's under investigation right now. And then also, what she's supposed to do, she's supposed to hunker down and just think about her portfolio, because as Conrad and Maria said, that this mass shooting now is on ABC. You think they would have focused on all the mass shootings who are going on in Jamaica and come up with a plan. Instead, she come up with nonsense like, we know we have the better leader. No, man. She's supposed to be shunned.
My notes here, Ratty, because like yourself, I have to be doing a bit of jotting. And, looking at this, I prepared just that I don't forget that Mark Jefferson Golden, Marky G, his integrity, his filing for 2023 was certified and published on Sunday. The conversation is from some people that the IC is trying to embarrass Mr. Holness, Andrew Holness, the fact that they produce it. No. How do you get there? If the IC had Mr. Holness report and it was in good order, they would publish it as well. Because under the Constitution, as you know, it is said not only that the filing must be done by these two persons, but be done by others, but these two persons, the Prime Minister and the opposition leader, they are duty bound to have it gazetted and published. Hence, Mark Golden own is published, and it has been so for over the so many years on time. So when you talk about a leader, and as Mark said this afternoon, this morning.
Conrad, hold on. I want you to hold it there, because I want you to get back in the space in terms of continue what the subject matter.
No problem.
But just let me just read something in terms of enhancing what you are saying right here. Honey, put up this because I want the public to be aware as well. Golden earnings, asset steady. And I'm going to ask Conrad to come back right there in the space. Right? Let us get to that document. Right? And show people as it relates to Mark Golden's statutory declaration, right? Just confirming in terms of what Conrad O'Brien is speaking about. Here we have it. Golden's earning assets steady. Integrity Commission clears opposition leaders 2023 statutory filing, and this published Sunday, November 24th, right? 2024. Right, a significant other income of 36.9 million propelled opposition leader Mark Golden and his family to report a total income of 70.7 million in 2023, nearly matching the amount declared the previous year to the Integrity Commission. Details of Golding's income and assets were disclosed in his 2023 statutory filing, which has been certified and published by the Integrity Commission in the Jamaica Gazette on October 29, and in an advertisement in today's edition of the Sunday Gleaner. The Integrity Commission hereby certifies that the statutory declaration submitted by Mark Golding has been examined, right, based on the examination. Let us take back take that, and we are going to get back to Conrad O'Brien. Now, Conrad, let me just add this. Because basically what it is saying there, that the opposition leader's statutory declaration as it relates to income, assets, and liabilities, right, have been certified, verified, everything is okay. Now, the Prime Minister, as we speak, now when we look at the reflection of the conference and where we see every single member of parliament, right, relating to the Jamaica Labour Party administration is doubling down with the Prime Minister in his full support in saying that they support him, right? Having the situation where the Integrity Commission certified the opposition and unable to certify the Prime Minister, how does it look, Conrad, for the political optics? Go ahead.
Certainly, it's a spot of bother Mystic and the rest of panelists here. It's indeed a big thing, and you know, previously, corruption was something that would not even be on the radar in terms of polls in Jamaica, and over the last year or two, corruption continuously rated second behind crime. So it seems to me that it's now gaining some legs, and it's showing up with high double digits. Therefore, we may very well see for the first time in Jamaica in a long time where corruption matters on the ballot here in Jamaica. It is also important for us to, as I said in my opening, for us to keep our eyes on the Supreme Court for the 6th of next month, because it's going to be very, very interested if the court does not rule in favor of the Prime Minister. What take place there? What will we hear from civil society, from the private sector, and so on? And what will be even the pushback from within his own Jamaica Labour Party circle now? Because it simply means that this would be a definitive coming out of the court to say that, listen, what you're asking us to do, it's not practicable because the IC acted within their remit. So it's make very, very interesting listen, readership, and observation going forward. And, you know, the standard that is being set by a Mark Golding, certainly, if we to go just by the integrity report, because that's a template of which our opposition leader, Prime Minister, should be judged by. And certainly, Mark Golding is way out in front with a plum. Andrew Holness is running distant behind. And I believe that is why we're seeing where the poll numbers are firming up for the opposition PNP, where the last Dan Anderson poll shows the PNP 10 percentage point ahead. We saw the by-election over the weekend, those two that were contested in Clarendon and over there in St. Thomas. And the PNP won both of them. And what happened, the opposition and the PNP, they went against the government, because whenever you have a by-election that is contested, is really the government power you go up against, irrespective of which of the party in power. And that is why it is always difficult for the opposition of the day to win a by-election. So when you see opposition winning by-election, it's like the die is almost cast. I'm not saying that the PNP should take anything for granted, because in my view, it's never over until the fat lady sings. But when you dovetail all of these into one, the direction that the country is going in crime, the fact that the PM is on the siege with this integrity commission, and certainly, you know, all that we have been seeing, it seems to me that somebody is underwater. So let's see how that will pan out. But to close out on this, I believe that it is indeed a wonderful thing for us to see Mark Jefferson Golden, the opposition leader, integrity report continue to go in on time, certify. And it is really a pity that the chief servant, the man at the helm, is lagging behind, and we just can't have his filing certified.
Yeah, but Conrad, before you move on from there, 1 second, Mystic. You said that behind crime, corruption is one of the most important things on the minds of voters. And it could be, and let me preface it by saying that corruption is not a new thing in Jamaica. It has been happening through the decades. We know that. But the problem is, it is so barefaced, in your face. You understand me? Because you still have $1.7 trillion that is yet to be accounted for.
Yes.
And the people see it, you know, because they're feeling it. 700 billion in the Ministry of Health alone, another 700 billion in the Ministry of Education, and another couple hundred billion in the office of the Prime Minister. The people see it because they're living it on a day-to-day basis. And then you see members of Parliament building big house. Nobody envies them for that. And they need to cut out this thing about bad mind. You cannot bad mind somebody for ripping off taxpayers. It's taxpayers we're talking about. And when we see those, the people see it, they feel it. And so it is resonating more now because they are going into the hospitals. Their children are going to the schools. They are driving on the roads that they say are going to have culverts and fiber optics. And when the rain come and wash it away, so the carpet lift up and you don't see any fiber optic cables and you don't see any culvert. So the pit is happening in real time. So they are now saying, but hold up a second. What you say and what we're seeing here is not matching. So we're going to go with what we are seeing and not allow you to tell us, don't believe your lying eyes. We are going to believe what we are seeing because they're affected on a day-to-day basis.
You're indeed correct. And, you know, just before Ratty comes in, what happened? This thing has really gone up several notches. We have always heard about corruption here and there, but it's really, as far as I can recall, it's really the first time that we're seeing, and I personally, as I said before, I am not basically ascribing any guilt or anything like that. I'm careful in that regard, but it's the first time, as I can recall, that we're seeing a prime minister front and center where the whole business of corruption allegation is against him, the Integrity Commission, you know, formerly the Accountant General office that we had there that used to deal with that before. And we have never seen that happen before. So it basically draws the eyes of Jamaica. The attention is there when you hear about, and whether it is legal or illegal is another story. But just to hear, just the thought of it, to hear that the Prime Minister has 28 bank accounts and so on, it doesn't go down well with people. People are asking the question. And I believe that those are some of the things that why we are seeing the corruption playing a major role now, second behind crime. second behind crime. And remember now, my sisters and brothers, that crime is a part of corruption. The murders, everything is intertwined. So here you have they're walking as two brothers together along the roadway. Very, 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 very interesting situation we're seeing here in Jamaica.
Wonderful input coming from Maria and of course Conrad O'Brien, the AKA the fireman. Brother Rattigan, as it relates to the political optics, right? We have seen that Andrew Holness is in what I call a really gross moral deficit, right? As it relates to statutory declaration being certified. We have seen that Mark Golding's statutory declaration for 2023 certified, and the Prime Minister statutory declaration for 2023 has not been certified. What say you as it relates to the political optics of the situation, Brother Rattigan?
Well, let me just look at it factually. And, as Conrad pointed out, that the Integrity Commission is charged with the responsibility of gazetting the statutory declaration, an overview, a summary. It's not the complete thing. It's just a summary of the statutory declarations for two people. And that's enshrined in section 42(3)(b). I won't read it, but it's in the Integrity Commission Act. And it says that subject to the gag order, because, they can't talk about, things that they're working on. They said, except for that, they said, there are two people that they can provide to the public their statutory declarations. Only two, and it's the Prime Minister and the leader of the opposition. What's interesting is when the Prime Minister was ushering this legislation through, he said, "Right now it's only for two people, but I'm gonna do my level best to make it more expansive, so more people to go. The public can see more people's statutory declarations." I wish he would, but he didn't. And that takes me back to a proceeding in Parliament in 2000. I got the record for a discussion concerning the Prevention of Corruption or Corruption Prevention Act, which contains illicit enrichment provision. And guess what? Our Prime Minister was in Parliament. He got there 1996, 1997, somewhere around there.
1997.
So, okay. Well, this discussion, the bill, they were discussing the bill, the Corruption Prevention Act. They were discussing it in 2000. He was there. Guess what? Me no see where him say nothing. No objection to the illicit enrichment.
None.
No objection. No objection. None, believe me, none. And then guess what? Then you can see where a lot of them say them support it. And in fact, guess who supported it? None other than and he was very vocal about it. Delroy Chuck, Minister Delroy Chuck, and he was only concerned. His only concern was that the public shouldn't see the statutory declaration concerning what they have. Because I'm saying it has problems. He said they shouldn't really see it. That was his own. He never spoke about subsection 14, subsection 5, the illicit enrichment. They agree with it. And then guess what? We found cases where the old Integrity Commission, because this new Integrity Commission is actually a combination of three agencies: the Corruption Prevention Agency, the Integrity Commission, and the general, not the auditor, contractor general. Yeah, it's all of those three that they put together. And guess what? I went back and I found cases where they prosecuted people for illicit enrichment. Prosecuted people, and nobody complained. Nobody said a word, peep. But no, when they start applying it to the Prime Minister now, no, he wants now to repeal the law that he supported. Why? Because it's going against him. And so the optics, and I'm going to reach out to that reporter. I think the reporter who did the ABC reporter is based in Puerto Rico. And I know the Prime Minister, I know he has people watching your program. So I'm he's a man, me no hide and talk. Me just, whatever me say me I go do, me do it. I'm going to reach out to that reporter in Puerto Rico. And I'm going to send him a copy of the Integrity Commission, the 171-page report that Conrad just held up. And said to him, say, listen, this man have 28 bank accounts. You need to write something about this, man. You need to do a story about this. Just like when you do a story on the mass murder this week, you should do one on the mass murders that took place last month, and the month before that, and the month before that. Do a story on mass murders in Jamaica. And then when you do a story on the Prime Minister and corruption. And then what we want you to do is when you tell the US ambassador Audrey Marks, we shut her trap because she don't know what she had talked about. She just come out last week and said she's hoping that they will come out now and lower the threat level, right? You think they're going to lower it now after them say, and I remember she that say she never focused on health, you know. She said it was a crime. Crime is going down. Crime. And now she say, even if it first of all, I don't trust the idea that it's going down because them have some pots, as we talk about, where them put dead people in where them don't count them. They have death investigations, they have suicide, missing persons, self-defense. They don't count those things. They don't count them. So a lot of times when you hear them say suicide, it's not suicide. Like the corrections official who fly off a spur trail, and that no enough him go find a tree and hang himself, right? Him try commit suicide in the vehicle. That never works. Him say, right, him have to try something different. And him come out and go find a tree. No, we know that, I know. Come on, no. Come on,
you know, Ratty, I tell you something. We get the official report from the JCF. And of course, you know that, where I'm duty bound to carry the official figure that we get from the police, saying that murder is down by 17%. But I can tell you this, is that not one of my callers and listeners buy into it. As a matter of fact, and hear what happened. This is coming to us against the background where we have a week that is the most murderous week, certainly, for the year so far in Jamaica. On the heels of that, we had a mass murder last night where 6 persons were murdered. So all in all, the government is in a quandary at this time. I just want to move quickly, Mystic, if you may, in terms of time here, and just to look at something here. There's an article here featuring some excerpt from Bobby Montague's presentation, and it is saying, caption, bumpy road to third term. And Bobby is actually pointing out where the hardship is, the road that the people are traveling on, and so on. And all of those things the government are facing. On the front page of today's Gleaner as well, coming on the heels of the Prime Minister's presentation, where he's saying that he has concern. And I'm sure that you will have very great interest in this, my sister. Oh my goodness, a beautiful sister here in the glasses. Maria. I'm sure you have some keen interest in this. The Prime Minister, in his presentation, talked about his concern for the, what he's seeing with the tuition, the part payment that students are asked to contribute in for their school fees. And the president for the Principal and Vice Principal Association of Jamaica, she pushed back today. So Jennifer Williams, president of the Jamaica Association of Principals and Vice Principal, is urging the government to increase funding for school to alleviate the burden of auxiliary fees on parents. Because the reason why the schools are asking for the auxiliary fees is that the subvention that is coming from the government is certainly not enough. I spoke to the principal for forgot the name of his school, out there in St. Thomas. He is the president-elect for the JTA, Mr. Malava. And Mr. Malava said to me that 65 or 70% of his students, they are on part. Therefore, when you have 65 or 70% of your student on part, it simply means that your school is in trouble by way of persons who are contributing for the auxiliary fees. And as a result of that, now you're going to have poor delivery in terms of education. And here where the rubber hits the road even more. The schools that are having these major issues where the auxiliary fees are less, or the schools that are the less performer, because the more prestigious schools, they have, the parents will go up Gumtree to ensure that they pay the fee, plus they have old boys and old girl association that make meaningful contribution. So you can say where the apartheid education system continue to permeate itself in Jamaica, and hence this call for more money to be put in to the school by way of subvention is very, very important. So all of these things, the Prime Minister opened some wounds based on his presentation at the conference. Want to move quickly to another one. Just straight giveaway. Electricity tax cut won't benefit average user, but the more affluent. And this claim is from expert. All right, so claim expert and also Elaine Davis White, senior trade unionist, also weighed in and say $20,000 give back. And just let me just read a small caption from this. It says the reduction in the electricity tax announced by Prime Minister Andrew Holness and Sunday is not expected to benefit the majority of resident users, but will create an equity issue, energy consultant Stephen Wedderburn has asserted. And it goes further. At the same time, veteran trade unionist Helen Davis White said the Prime Minister's announcement of 20,000 give back to Jamaicans who not captured in any system falling outside of the salary net program create the context for a run with it budget for the next financial year. So let's run with it argument that they accuse Omar with. Helen Davis White is saying that the pronouncement out of the conference from the Prime Minister will represent the consummate run with it, and people are seeing it as a vote buying exercise. So a lot of things to unpack there. So we don't just get things and hug it like that, you know, to say that, listen, because it comes from the Prime Minister, that is so. We heal things, certainly I do. We heal things that are beneficial. For example, I believe that the announcement that came to say, listen, we'll give people a reprieve who had their water disconnected for some time and may find difficulty, we'll, you know, give them some reprieve there. I can work with that. I'm also happy with the announcement coming that persons who are students who are outside the corporate area, they will be given a card down the road so they can take the taxes in the rural area and get that reprieve, because as you know, that the JUTC own the service, the corporate area, and indeed those, you know, all of us contribute to it. So I can understand. So I am going to give the PM some credit where it is due, but I'm also going to dig deep and dissect whatever I consider to be less than credible things and things that will not benefit the masses. Why would you be giving back to the top 20% of Jamaica when you could find another way? So my proposal to the Prime Minister, or suggestion to the PM is rather than go by way of percentage, say you're going to reduce the GCT, offer a subsidy or to the people at the bottom. Say, listen, the government will pay $2,000 or $3,000 of your electricity bill. Maybe you have a time cap, a time that you cap that. Similarly to what was put out in the PNP manifesto, I think Damien Crawford was the person who basically crafted that at that time. I'm also humble submitting that they also take on, it's kind of late in the day, but take on the suggestion where it was in the PNP manifestos as well, where they put like $5 billion in the budget that they would use for communities, primarily housing scheme areas, so that have some of the worst road, some of the drain coverage are missing and so on. So those are some of the suggestions that I would make there.
Okay. Okay, just to piggyback on something. Yeah.
Maria. Wonderful input, O'Brien, but we are not going to move on yet. We want to find out if Sister Maria has anything to add before we go. Sister Maria, go ahead.
Yes. About the $20,000 and the water situation. Here is why I have a problem with it. It's a band-aid being put over an open sore. Because you give the $20,000, it's finished. Then what? What are the programs being put in place to teach the people how to fish instead of just giving them a fish? Because that is the age-old problem. The same thing with the water. What caused someone to find themselves into a situation where their water bill has gotten exorbitantly high? They can no longer afford to pay. What groups are they targeting really? Now, after you pay that off, are they those same persons in a situation where they can now afford to pay their water bills going forward? So, it is just, it's like the lady who asks for a donkey and you give the person the donkey. It's only one person benefit. So a few persons benefit. Now it's going to cost billions of dollars, in my opinion, to do that. Now, what if you put do the cumulative and instead invest in community centers that are tailored to meet the needs up to date in terms of coding and technology and computer science and all of that, to attract young people, to bring us bring skill sets that are needed for the times, the kind of economic climate that we're living in. Okay, take for example, they're going to write off the fees for the craft vendors, $2,500, and the craft vendors are saying, no, you're not addressing the problem. I don't want you to give me the fish. Clean up the space. Work with us so that we can have a contract with all-inclusive hotels, with the cruise ships that come in. If the space is clean, they're able to operate in a more sanitary space where tourists are willing to come and shop. So they're saying, no, we are more than willing to pay our fees. It's the infrastructure that you need to take care of. So they're just throwing money away, throwing the pearls to swines. And we can just, for argument's sake, look at what Mayor Swaby has done downtown Kingston in 7 months, which is address the problem. So you give the vendors a space where they feel comfortable going to work. It's not that they don't want to work. They're more than willing to work. They're more than willing to go to the crafts center. But they said that one man today said that he has goods for months, years. You know why he has the goods for months and years? The tourists are not coming in there because of how the physical infrastructure. So they have to find a better way. Instead of coming and saying they could have done this 4 years ago, 8 years ago. So coming now with $20,000, like you said, it's a vote buy. But when they finish buying the votes, then what? Because they give themselves 200% increase. You're giving them $20,000. For what? So put it in a pool. Put it in a pool. Target agencies so that you build infrastructure. You keep building and improving infrastructure, community-wide, county-wide, parish-wide, and then the entire country will be benefiting. But they just keep throwing the money here and throwing a little there and throwing a little there. A few get the benefit, but not the masses, as you say. Given the electricity rebate that they're giving, it's not going to benefit the people who are in there cheering them. It's
not at all.
And they don't even realize, they hear it, but they don't understand that, oh, but I'm not benefiting. No, you're not going to benefit. So I would prefer to see, a more detailed approach, targeting the people and their needs, not doing something because it sounds good coming off their lips. Where is the money coming from? Wasn't there a 47 or 20, either 20 or $47 billion shortfall in the last budget?
Yes,
has
there
that
is.
been plugged? Right. Has that been plugged? How is it going to be plugged? Now you hear that the economy is decreasing, it's not increasing. Manufacturing improves economy, right? So, when you look at it, they are not addressing the needs. 20,000, 5,000, whatever, it's just for the moment. In that moment, what happens then? And before I finish, I remember listening to Damian Crawford a few weeks ago, breaking down the value of $5,000. Mind blowing. Mind blowing.
Come down to 20 cents a day or something like that.
A day, an hour, and cents on the dollar, cents an hour. So is that what they brought themselves to? So they like the craft vendors said, no, do not give us any money. We're more than willing to fish. Fix the infrastructure, which is the UDC, the Urban Development Corporation, which is where his buddy and business partner is the chairman for right now. And so they're asking to fix the infrastructure. And I'm quite sure the same thing applies to all other markets and vendors who are saying, no, don't give us this. And I'm sure there are people who they want to give to benefit from having their water bills paid off. But then they're going to find themselves in the very same position and a few months from now,
Marie, I believe that we can walk and chew gum. I am not objecting to the water, the reprieve on the water, because there are some people, for whatever reason, they found themselves on a hard time. The water bill amassed to a great deal. Sometimes it was persons who they may have a little house, it was rented out, and the neglect for whatever reason, the water bill is at a very, very high level. So I can understand the reprieve on that, allow them to get that reprieve. However, as it relates to the $20,000 and so giveaway, I agree with you wholeheartedly. This money, when you use it and you put it into something, for example, the first tranche of $11 billion, which is monies that we don't earn yet, coming from forward earning from the airport, right? That money that is giveaway. It would be much better, in my view, if you use this, you put it on farm roads and so on, you do things there so the farmers can get their produce out. You could even, this $11 billion, you could even give it out to our farmers at a cheap loan, say 1% loan, so you can use that to improve the agriculture fabric, as it were, because remember now that we need to, and since we're talking about the whole craft vendor situation, one of the things that's happening also that need to be addressed is this whole business of the tutor personnel are being paid, as I understand it. I talked to Dr. Ryan Simpson recently. He's the caretaker for that constituency down there, Northeast St. Anne. And he is at pains to point out here. I talked to him and some of the vendors, and they're saying that what happened is that the tourists are being taken straight from their hotel room to the Indian store and so on down there that are selling not authentic craft, but they have counterfeit and have it branded as made in Jamaica, while the genuine craft vendors are being bypassed. So how do we address that? And that is where now we need to see the Minister of Tourism become proactive and say, no, I want my people, my Jamaican, my genuine craft workers or craft traders to benefit from this thing called tourism. Because what is happening, Marie and panelists, our people, we're not benefit from the tourism pie at all, not benefiting from it. First thing to begin with, remember now that most of the money is retained overseas. It's a minute amount that come to the shore of Jamaica. Over to you. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, we kind of burn the fire hot, so that's what I think, sir.
Well, we love it, and trust me. I mean, we can see that most of the people in the chat loving what Conrad O'Brien is saying. But I am going to ask Brother Ratigan if he has anything to add to this, because what I want to ask the panel, to tighten their seatbelt, because we are going to travel through some turbulence, right? So let move on, right? And for persons who are listening. So, Brother Ratigan, do you have anything to say before you tighten your seatbelt?
Let me strap in. But listen, regarding the promises being made by the government, I say to the people of Jamaica, take what you can get, but get it first. And then take what you can get, but get it first, and then vote on a conscience. Because you know why? Go back and look at this conference, look at the one last year, look at the one the year before, and the year before, and the year before, and what you will see. Oh, and by the way, read them as you're listening to the conference. Read the manifesto, and there are two of them, 2016, 2020. Just read those two, and what you will find is a bunch of promises that have not been kept. Here's what happened. This government is very good, and they're very good at it, but they're very bad, because if you're a critical thinker, you understand that they're exposing themselves. What they do, they come and tell you, yes, we're going goon to this, we're going goon to the world, the moon, the stars, blah, blah, blah. And them don't tell you when.
Roger Clark said, including air condition Santa Cruz.
Yeah, them don't give a specific date. They'll say in the months to come, like we heard Minister Vaz said that we're going to free up 8 beaches. And we say in the months to come, we don't get an exact date. The only time we get an exact date, Mystic, and I think I know where you're going, and you know this, is when they're going to impose tax on the people. There's an exact date for that. Say on January 1st, they're going to get tax from party, or they're going to get tax on this. But when it comes time for them now to do what they're supposed to do, provide a service to the people, they say, yeah, it's coming. You're going to get it in a few months, in a few weeks. And we saw leaky and nyami that we just hold on upon them promises there. And we saw fool that them do it over and over and over and over again, and we just suck it up. So look, my seatbelt fastened.
Hold on.
One second, Ratigan. But remember now, as you talk about, they say we will. Remember now, that Darren Vaz said that he wants 5 more years to make sure his children and his grandchildren are secured. He never made any mention of the people of when call it Vazland. He made no mention of the people of Portland. He made no mention of the children of Portland. So he doesn't care about them. He only wants to make sure that he and his wife are there, as Don Sashi is, not doing anything for the people. He only wants to make sure he's there to secure his children. and his grandchildren so that they have the life that he had. He grew up. He did not grow up poor. None of them. He cannot identify with the people of Portland because that's not Vaz's life. The man was born into wealth, and again, he has no control over the family that he was born into. However, stop pissing on the people then put and tell them that it is raining. And it's time for them to wake up and understand that.
Sister Maria, and let me just quickly, because time is at me. But, you know, it's amazing that you mentioned this whole thing with Vaz, because I'm just getting here and my gadget. People are asking, how concerned are we, if any at all, with that gesture, that busting a throat thing, that signal that was made by Darrell Vaz at the conference? Some persons who are listening, they're sending me a message via my WhatsApp here asking the question. Is it of any moment really? What do you think? Or is it something that, you know, we are living in a violent society, so every gesture, especially coming from officialdom, we saw where former candidate Dennis Meadows down there in Trelawney North, he spoke out of context, didn't do anything, but based on the standard that Mark Golden is setting, he removed him as candidate. Do you think that, and I don't believe that that was even as bad as that gesture that was made by Vaz, but Mr. Meadows is no longer candidate from the People's National Party. How do you look at that as our viewers and are asking the question?
Okay.
My concern, one second. My concern is that, remember now, that the constituency that his wife ran in, that former member of parliament, wasn't he the one that was murdered? Am I missing something here?
You're correct.
So if you have that situation, why would you now come out in a high crime society where people are easily triggered and people listen to their rhetoric? And why would he come out and do that? I am concerned. And it should be taken seriously because given what happened before.
Because what I would sorry, just quickly, my take on it, because I like to be pellucid with these things and, you know, don't let people go away with misconception and so on. My take on it, I believe that we have to be very careful, our leaders have to be very careful. They might have no such intention, but remember now that you have followers, that you have people who behave in a very ignorant way. So whenever you're out there, you have to be very, very careful the signal that you send. And I think it was very, very ill conceived idea when he carried out there, you know, shouldn't have happened at all. We saw the temperature rose quite a bit, even the 2 by-election. We gather that shot was fired and all sorts of things. So we have to be very, very careful and to do nothing at all that would even send the least signal, lest people misconstrue and misunderstand what our leaders are saying, because the people take their cue from the leaders, right?
Yes.
Yeah, let me just go ahead.
Go ahead, Rat.
Yeah, let me just say, you know, as a leader, you have to be very mindful of how you portray yourself, particularly in public. And on a stage of this magnitude, this size, this importance, you have to be very, very careful. Now, arrogance and desperation, they breed foolishness. You can ignore ignorance, as it says, but what you can't ignore is arrogance. You can't ignore veiled threats. You can't ignore veiled commands or instructions, because they will lead to an ugly demise. People will actually lose their lives over these kinds of things. And he should be he should be called to the carpet. He should be reprimanded by.
We start with Trump.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing. Do you remember at the high school championship that a runner who won the race, he used the gun thing and
A
pointed.
16-year-old boy, a 16-year-old youth man, class 2 athlete, and he was raped over the coal. A youngster who was just celebrating a victory for using his gun finger.
Right.
You know, give the gun finger thing there.
Yeah, he won the
And
race
he
and
was
he gets
over the coal. This is a minister of government we're talking about.
Exactly.
And
I'm buckled up, sir.
Yes, let me just say something on that as it relates to that sort of political gesture, as it relates to the cutneck business that Darrell Vaz, right, seems to, have a fun in doing. This is not the first time that Darrell Vaz had made that sort of gesticulation. But what is surprising, right, is to the fact that the helm of the administration, right, has not come out clearly in condemnation of it. That is the heartbeat of the issue, right, where you have the Prime Minister, right, being cognizant, right, of that sort of behavior, and the Prime Minister has not come out, right, and totally shun it. So then this to me is saying that it is defining the Prime Minister, right, what the Prime Minister stands for. It is definitely defining the administration in general, right? Because when you have a government minister, right, on a public platform can make that sort of gesticulation, and knowing as it relates to the history of his constituency, right, particularly his wife constituency, where you have an opponent was killed, and the sort of allegation that is out there, right, that definitely speaks about Darrell Vaz, right, sort of involvement in plotting number 3 based on allegation. Let us correct that, right, because it is not anything out there. We have the information in the Gleaner, right, mainstream media, as it relates to Darrell Vaz came under certain investigation, right, where he was plotting as according to the mainstream media, right, the Gleaner in specific, right, where that is concerned. So then have him with that sort of reference, you understand, behind his name, coming out and making gesticulation like that. It is just a no-no. It is just a no-no. But let me just say something right before I move on. And I'm going to remind, as it relates to the history of the politics where the Jamaica Labour Party administration is concerned, where it comes to the political violence and the history. We are talking about, right, going up to the 1980 general election. We have over 150 women, elderly, who were burned to death at the Eventide home. We have that as a reflection. Now brought forward to 2024, situation where we had found 320 pipe bombs, right? And we know the constituency in which it was found. And today, as it relates to, we getting any form of, understanding or update as it relates to those 320 pipe bombs that were found, right? We have not hearing anything, right, in reference of that, where the commissioner is speaking on that, or the Minister of National Security is speaking on that, or the Prime Minister is speaking on that. So then we are saying that Jamaica stand resolute. We are here, right? Making sure that we are giving the necessary information, right, in awareness to tell the Jamaica Labour Party administration that the coming general election, we want it to be violence free. We don't want one Jamaican to be killed. Right?
Well, could we broaden it and say with the messages being sent to the politician generally, you know, because we don't want it to come across as if we are just, well, certainly I don't want to come across as if I'm just finger pointing the Labour Party. Let's urge, because we have people on both sides of the divide, and this is why it is important, the signal that is sent, because you have to be, you know, Mystic, you as someone who out there, you may have an admirer, right, that he or she will go out there and do anything, you know, somebody says something about Mystic, and that person will do anything for you. Let alone politicians who people may believe that a politician putting on their pot and fire. They will do things and say that they're doing it in the name of the person. And that is why it is extremely important. And that's why, for me personally, I tend to shut down anybody who calls me and saying certain things. I shut it down, because I am not going to be party to certain things, because this country has come too far in terms of the open, out and out political violence. Thank God for PJ Patterson. He had lowered the temperature a great deal, and we don't want to go back there at all.
So true. Right, as I said earlier, that the panel need to, of course, tighten their seatbelt. Right, we are going to move through some turbulence right now. Now, we have seen, as it relates to the Jamaica Labour Party, right, putting a narrative out there as it relates to, and we're going to talk about the minimum wage, right, as it relates to the $15,000 minimum wage that the Jamaica Labour Party administration, right, had, installed, right, as opposed to the 2015 minimum wage, right, where that was what, $6,000, right, under the Portia Simpson administration. But before I do that, I'm just going to read the document as it relates to what the Prime Minister is selling as a narrative out there to say that, okay, all right, never in the history of Jamaica that any, political party had raised the minimum wage, right, as what he had done to benefit the masses. But we are going to get into that to see if that is true in terms of the benefits, and what we are going to ID as it relates to using the inflation rate as a measurement, right, as it relates to the $6,000 in the 2015 minimum wage, right, at $6,000, and at currently 2024 minimum wage at $15,000. What we are going to ask about, we are going to talk about the purchasing power, right, of the, the increase of the minimum wage, and to make a contrast there. So let us read the document where that is concerned. Increase in the national minimum wage, because this is one of the items that the Prime Minister, right, is bragging about. So let us get into that, right, and break it down where, people can see this. All right, increase in the national minimum wage and security guard wage increase to effective June 1, right, June 4th, 2024. The new minimum wage for a 40-hour work week will take effect tomorrow, June 1, 2024. The new minimum wage will move to $15,000, right? There it is in bracket per week, up from $13,000. Right, the increase in the national minimum wage was announced by the Prime Minister Andrew Holness in his 2024-2025 budget presentation on March 21st, 2024. This latest increase follows a 44% rate hike last year, moving the national minimum wage to the highest ever. And this is what I'm saying in terms of the Prime Minister bragging about this. This is what the Prime Minister is saying, right? To the highest ever level for minimum wage earners in Jamaica. The Prime Minister make it sound pretty, the Prime Minister make it sound good, and the Prime Minister make it sound like it is the best thing, right, in all those years. This increase will put the minimum wage at a historic level for low-income workers ever made by a government in Jamaica. I just want to show people in terms of what he is bragging about. Now, we are going to now look at, as it relates to the 2015, right, minimum wage, as it relates to $6,000, right, where Portia Simpson administration, right, have the minimum wage at $6,000. Now, Conrad, I want to ask a question, right? I'm going to give you the opportunity to jump at this, but let me just create the background in terms of asking the question, because the Prime Minister is selling that narrative, right, as it relates to his party, right, lifting the minimum wage, right, to say that, you know, it is significant to him. But let us ask as it relates to purchase power and as it relates to the rate of inflation. Now, in 2015, let me kind this for you, Conrad. In 2015, right, under Portia Simpson administration, the minimum wage was $6,000, right? Now, in 2050, the minimum wage is $15,000. So if you want to check that as it relates to percentage, right, we can see that it is roughly about 230% increase where that is concerned. Right now, let me ask you a question, Conrad. As it relates to the purchasing power and the rate of inflation, using the 2015, right, minimum wage to be $6,000, and at current the 2015 minimum wage as it relates to $15,000. Let me just break it down for you. And I want you to talk about the purchasing power, right? As it relates to what amount of items that $6,000 could buy in 2015 relating to the inflation rate and the purchasing power. As it relates to 2015, what amount of item that can buy, you understand, as it relates to the inflation rate and current, judging that they are getting $15,000. Can you explain the purchasing the purchasing power as it relates to?
All right. Quickly, let me just say this. I don't have the chart in front of me, so I can give it to you, you know, in that order definitively. But what I'll say to you is that in 2015, under the Portia Simpson Miller administration, a pound of chicken was for about $100.
Yes.
To date, a pound of chicken is about $400.
Okay.
So what percentage that is? About 300 or 400% increase?
300%.
300% increase.
Yes.
Now, if you look at the minimum wage from where it was then, and even if you would want to be generous and say the minimum wage move 1.5 times, although it is just barely double. So it moved by 100%. I don't know how you could look at, for example, chicken, which is the basic protein that most Jamaicans would go to. So you would buy a pound of chicken You chop it up fine, you throw some curry on it, or you do some brown stew, you cut up some carrot and maybe a little chocho and Marie, you see somebody can cook? You know, got dead for hungry, you know. So you stretch it, right? So I'm saying that to say that so many people are not in a position to buy a pound of chicken now from the minimum wage that they were earning at that time. I know of people who would be willing to work for their $6,000 per week, and you know your employer being a little generous, so you top it up and give her $7,000, then, and they would work for it to date. And this is not story, this is not second-hand information. These are people who I know well. And I talk about two ladies. I'm going to give you two examples in this. Two ladies who they are in Clarendon, they were working in Maypen, but they had to take a taxi. You know what they did? They leave the job because them said there's no way that they can work for the $15,000, because what they were doing is subsidizing coming to work. Outside of that, there is a gentleman, a wife and a husband. The husband worked here in Jamaica in the hospitality sector, i.e. tourism sector. The wife, as I said before, she works in the Turks and Caicos. They're doing, and you know how we speak, so I'm going to speak that way. They're doing the same exact job. Housekeeping or whatever, the same level of work they're doing. The husband in Jamaica, the wife in Turks and Caicos, the wife is earning 4 times what her husband is earning here in Jamaica for doing the same job. The fact of the matter is that Jamaica is a low wage, low growth country. And that is one of the reasons why we're seeing so many of our professional, i.e. teachers, nurses, and so on, are migrating. It's not that they want to go away. It's not that they hate Jamaica. But ends can't meet. Ends can't meet. And I could go on and on. I could go on and on with examples. I know of young ladies who are here working, left high school working, doing regular clerical job and so on, dressed in the morning in their habla skirt and their heels going to work. They want to build an inside toilet for their mommy and a kitchen. Couldn't do it. They get a bus and go a little foreign. Not big foreign, you know. Little foreign. Mommy now live in a 2-story house somewhere in Clarendon. That is the situation. How do we move Jamaica forward? So to answer your question, Mystic, while not having that exact chart in front of me, I think I've painted a picture there, at least with the chicken. You could move to another item, corned beef, which we call here in Jamaica, bully beef. How much was for a can of bully beef, a can of corned beef then? How much for it now? It gone up by over the same 300%, while minimum wage has barely moved above 100%. That is the situation that's facing us, and that's why I came away with the impression that the best presentation at the Jamaica Labour Party conference was from Robert Bobby Montague, because Bobby, I think, painted a picture of understanding. And I believe they maybe call him in and rake him over the coal, because Bobby all but said that, listen, the Jamaican people are suffering. He talked about the road. He talked about cost of living. He even begged Trump to allow more people to come in America without visa. So, that's it. Mr. We have to leave you guys shortly. You know?
With that. But we really cherish your time being spent. We really love that. Right. So Sister Maria, as I said, dealing with the purchasing power between 2015 and Pusha Simpson's administration, having $6,000 at minimum wage, and making the contrast between 2024 with Andrew Holness administration, putting the minimum wage at $15,000, right? Take away for us as it relates to the contrast and the purchasing power that we are dealing with.
Well, okay. When the Portia Simpson administration took over, remember now that they didn't have any money to do anything. So they had to now go get money to come put into the economy to try to restart the economy, get the economy going again. And in so doing, they, things were hard. Wage freeze, all of that happened. Looking at purchasing power, one has to also factor in inflation at the time. So they were able to get more then because the inflation wasn't what it is like right now. And we know about COVID and all of that. But we also have to contrast the 15,000 minimum wage, this teacher's salary increase. I remember Minister Tufton saying that he cannot, 3,000 what? His pay worked out in US dollars at about 3,000 plus US dollars at the time. And he said he cannot survive on that. That was before he got the increase. So his family cannot survive on that, and he's a minister. So how then does he expect that the teacher is going to survive on the 20% increase and the low wage worker is going to survive on $15,000 a week minimum wage? And factoring in inflation, they gave themselves 300%, which far outpaced the rate of inflation. So it's not commensurate with what is happening. So the people not feeling it on the ground. So what they could buy in 2012 in the Portia Simpson administration, they cannot buy now. And you're talking about moving it from $6,000 to $15,000. It really is on chart, because guess what? Inflation eat out all of it already. So it really doesn't make any sense what he is saying. That is nothing to brag about, quite frankly. There's no reason to brag about that when, we only see a few people making it in life, getting ahead, when the majority of Jamaicans, per the United Nations, are not going to bed with a proper nutrition. Poverty is a real problem. Hunger is a real problem. The school feeding problem needs to be part and parcel of the education ministry. Well, 50 million gone by one person. So what can I say? An active school feeding program, food for the elderly. So there has to be a comprehensive approach taken to deal with this issue of inflation and how you balance it. You help people to balance their lives with the wages that they earn. But the wages that they currently earn is not meeting their needs because inflation is eating out half of it. First of all, corruption eats out half and inflation is eating out the other half. Because we must understand that corruption in Jamaica is one of the biggest problems that destroys the economy. And if anybody don't understand it, look at the amount of money that is lost to corruption and then think what that could do to remedy the current infrastructure situation that is there, whether it's hospital, roads, schools, what you name it. So the wages are not benefiting the people because the government is not looking at it holistically and doing what they can. And another thing too, the fuel cost is another cost that contributes to the problem that they're having in the economy, because the fuel cost is so high. I remember they had a deal with Petrocarib. I think it was Petrocarib from Venezuela. He scuttled that. and now you're in a situation where they have to pay very few high fuel costs. So you add all of that, the wages that the people are earning, cannot buy food, cannot pay bills, cannot do anything. Which jobs can they get? If you get parking jobs, Ratty sent me something earlier about parking jobs available at the airport. And to get that job, you need a bachelor's degree and you need to be able to speak Spanish. This is not, you cannot make this thing up. You just cannot make it up.
Thank you for that, Sister Mara. Before I turn to Ratty, because we have to respect Mr. O'Brien time, right? Brother Conrad, if you have anything last to say to just wrap up.
No, man, no, mistake. No, ask him, come on, leave after him say it, man. Let me talk and keep him a little bit longer.
Right. You know the drill, you know.
You must sit and leave. You have to hold him. Let me just make a few observations.
All right, go ahead.
Because we know Canada have a long day. Actually, him have a long last couple weeks, you know. But here's
Ratty know that I can't let him down as my brother either. So that's why you see him my brother. Go ahead, Ratty. Go ahead.
I'm just make a couple of
I love that, Ratty. I love that.
I'll be very brief. One is the Prime Minister and the government raised the minimum wage of 15,000, and he was asked by somebody out, I think in the Rhetoric division. They said to him, Mr. Prime Minister, you know, the minimum wage, no good, you can't raise it. And him said, what are you talking about? I raise it 100%. No, it was 13 at the time and they moved it to 15. My math's not that good. And I think, I don't know if the Prime Minister and the mayor out of Port Antonio, whatever, I don't know if they
Ratty, no, stop. Rattigan, you were the one who told me that 2 9s equals 13. So stop it.
So, any number you use, if you use a 9 or you use 13, going to 15 is still not 100%. It's not 100%, no matter which number you use. That's number one. No, you know, I was always wondering, where did they come up with this 300% increase? What was it? How did they arrive at that formula? And guess what? Conrad make me know tonight. Say, is chicken them use as the basis because the chicken went up 300%, and then them just 300%. I never know chicken them use to reach at 300%.
Yeah.
Conrad, let me know. No, couple other things. One is you know, we talk about Minister Tufton because he was interviewed on Wayne Lonesome's program. I was there, and him said, yes, the salary them pay him can't take care of him, kids can't, blah, blah, blah. Don't him get the 300%, right? And what him do? Him end up a foreigner sell books. Him sell him book at Atlanta and all over the place. Instead of him stay there and not take care of the sick, you know, and fix up the hospital.
The man them learn from Chump, brethren. They say the playbook. Where Chump sell Bible, sell everything.
Yes. No, here's the last
playbook.
No, two more things. One is, you know, teachers are leaving, doctors are leaving, nurses are leaving. It's time for this government to leave. Everybody will leave. It's time for them to leave. Full time. And the last thing.
Nigel gone.
Well, yeah, my leader back. Gone but not forgotten. Gone but not forgotten. The people of Jamaica still are so far as a result of mass policies. And the last thing is this. Remittances. You hear them tell about tourism, and we say tonight that it's just a paltry sum coming into the country from out, you know, and tourism. If tourism make 4 billion, Jamaica is getting less than Jamaica is getting about 1.5, you know, in other country. The remainder is overseas. Now, remittances has been for a long time the chief foreign currency earner for Jamaica, and now it's dwindling. It's dwindling, and at the same time, we have people, and my people them know, my people them from Firehouse, my people them from Maxwell Avenue, my people them from St. Anne's, my people them from St. Elizabeth. When them call, like before, and them used to call, and you said them need a thing, and you give them a thing. That thing we used to give them 4 years ago, you know, and 5 years ago, and 3 years ago, and even 2 years ago. That thing can't suffice no more. No, when my people them call, my people them tell me the sufferation, how much them want. It went from send me a thing to, hey, we want X amount because we don't have no flour, we don't have no sugar, we don't have no rice, we don't have no salt thing, we don't have this, we don't have that, we don't have nothing. And this idea we might talk about, if I go the water rate, if I go give people back money and do this and do that, a lot of people in Jamaica will not benefit from that because a lot of people in the country when them get rainwater. And a lot of people what them do. Sad to say, but it's true. A lot of people bridge water. So them now go get no money from this. And I'm hoping that we don't want Conrad leave it, you know, mistake. More you going to the document. No, more no, because Conrad have a lot.
Yeah? What that
document right now?
All right, cool. Conrad can't leave till him see that document here.
Okay,
can't leave till him see that document here.
All right. So
prepare for a shot, Conrad.
All right.
All right.
Conrad, I mean,
Yeah.
we already developed a mechanism to hold it.
That's not right.
Save it for last.
All right, so we are going to get into that document. Remember, we talk about tighten our seatbelt. Oh, someone question for the panel. Can Marky G roll back the raise when he goes to the office? I will say yes. You know,
that's going to take an act of parliament.
Yes.
So you're going to forget 2/3 of the both houses.
But it can be done.
It can be done. Yes.
It can be done. Right? No two way about that. It can be done. All right. So let us get into the document, right? As it relates to, you know, we often have heard, right, that the Prime Minister, right, comes out and said, right, no new taxes and so forth, and he run several campaigns on that, telling Jamaica no new taxes. But tonight we are going to go through a document that is going to prove to the contrary of what Andrew Holness and his administration, you understand, putting the narrative out there that since their administration taking over the realms of the government, no new taxes. Well, people, that is not true. What we are going to show before we go into the document, I want to explain something before I go into the document. When it comes to taxes, this is how the government generate its revenues, right, to deal with the budgetary plan, right, the yearly budgetary plans, right? So they get their money, they get the revenues from taxes. So let us talk about taxes, right, in general form. And we are going to break them down in two categories, right, when we talk about taxes. We are going to talk about indirect tax and we are going to talk about direct tax. So when the Prime Minister coming out and said, right, he has not implement any new taxes. What the Prime Minister is speaking about, direct tax, that he had not implement any new taxes as it relates to direct tax. Now let us define for the people, right, what is direct tax. So when we talk about direct tax, we are talking about tax, any taxation that comes from our salary or pay. Simple means pay as you earn, PAYE, right? Your NIS, your education tax, right? Your NHT, and so forth, right? Now, the Prime Minister did not raise any new tax there. You give him that, okay. But what the Prime Minister had done, right, as it relates to his political strategy, right, is tax overwhelmingly as it relates to indirect tax. So then now, having explained that, we are going to expose the document and show, right, the series of indirect tax that the Andrew Holness-led administration had targeted and as such overtax the Jamaican people. Remember that Portia Simpson budget Post-Simpson administration operating on a budget of $600 billion. The Andrew Holness-led government operate on a budget of 1.3 trillion. So where that extra 600 billion would have come from? Definitely from tax. Now, where the Prime Minister get it is from, of course, indirect taxes, right? And other issues and other taxes. So we are going to show the document and break it down for the people. Without any delay, lift up that document. All right. So here it is, right? Ministry paper number 17, right? Ministry of Finance and the Public Service, 9th of March, 2017. So we know that the Prime Minister, Andrew Holness administration took over the realms of power, and they did not waste any time the preceding year, 2017, right? Their implementation of new taxes. Revenue measures for financial year 2017-2018, here it is. The House is being reminded of the policy commitment to shift the burden of taxation from a system of direct taxes to a simplified system of indirect taxation. Now, let me just explain this. So here it is in the document, people. When you hear the Prime Minister talking about that he had not had any new taxes, right? It's a callous lie. You're talking about half-truth, right? And half lie. What the Prime Minister did, he did not target direct taxes, but as he said here, to a simplified system of indirect taxation. Now, he said, this will involve measures relating to the main indirect tax types, including general consumption tax, right, that fall under indirect tax, and special consumption tax also fall under indirect tax. I want the people to understand and follow me tonight. It will also involve balancing considerations regarding tax rate increases versus a progressive broadening of the tax base by reducing exemptions. These reforms must also satisfy the objectives of revenue sufficiency, emphasize equity with regards to the burden of taxation, and facilitate administrative efficiency. It is within this context that the following mix of measures are proposed to be implemented for fiscal year 17-18. Right now, let us look at special consumption tax. Increasing the special consumption tax payable in respect to fuel, right? The House is asked to recall that based on volatility of oil prices, it was prudent to provide for an additional increase last fiscal year to preserve the integrity of the revenue. So I want people to understand that. Now, the current increase is proposed in recognition of the need to protect the environment from increased carbon emission. Now, here's the range of increase. The increase ranges from 43 cents to $7.36 as detailed in table 1, right? Right, and you'll see the type of fuel, right, as it relates to what being implemented as it relates to the new taxation. But let's go down further with that. Now, increase in SET in respect to alcoholic beverages, right? So this is the alcoholic beverage. I want to just go to quickly pass through this. I am going to go through because this is the different ranges of indirect tax. The SCT, right? The general consumption tax, right? That he's talking about, right? And other taxes, increase in motor vehicle licensing and fees, right? Now, what I want to show you, people, right? Let us go to the summary of measures now. Now, so let us express this now. Since we talk about special consumption tax, we talk about GCT, and we talk about other taxes. And let us look on the breakdown now. Special consumption tax increased excise on pure alcohol from 1,120 per liter to 1,230, right? Now, increased excise on tobacco products from $14 per stick to $17 per, right? And you see the difference here, right? Now, this is in billions of dollars. So what you're seeing here is $0,403,000,000 that E-rating there in increased excise on tobacco products from $14 per stick to $17 per stick, right? An increase of $0,826,000,000. Increase in specific SCT on fuel, right? $7,459,000,000. Apply GCT at 16.5%. Group health insurance, right? You see there, 1.88 billion. Reduce the threshold for the application of GCT on consumption for residential electricity from 315 kilowatt per month to 150 kilowatt per month. Now let us speak about this, and I want the panel to listen keenly on this. Now, just imagine as it relates to the Jamaica Labour Party administration, what they have done here, right, is a pressure between to go along with the Jamaica Public Service Company, right, and carry out something like this, right, to burden, right, the taxpayers, right. Now, here it is where he reduced the threshold for the application of GCT and the consumption of residential electricity from 350 kilowatt per month. Now, when we look at 350 kilowatt per month, that within itself by the previous administration, as it is, so Portia Simpson-led administration, this 350 kilowatt per month would have provided a safety net because the masses of the users, right, don't really use 350 kilowatt per month. But
absolutely,
what this administration had done, right, is to lower the safety net. So Jamaican people, I want you to understand this, you know. What they had done here, the ultimate viciousness of the Jamaica Labour Party administration, right, copying up with the JPS, had lowered the safety net from 350 kilowatt hours per month to 150 kilowatt hours per month. Simply means that it now widens the tax net, and so then more people are going to be taxed as it relates to them using 150 kilowatt per month. That is going to automatically trigger. So this and this again raked up $1,498,000,000. When you look at other taxes, increase motor vehicle license and fees by 20%. So then people need to understand that when Andrew Wallace is talking about, right, his administration has not implemented any new taxes, he's lying through his teeth. As a matter of fact, his administration is the worst administration that imposed most taxes on the Jamaican people as it relates to indirect tax. Now, if you look here, reimposing withholding tax and insurance premium paid by Jamaican resident to non-resident at a rate of 15%. Now, if you look on the gross total here, right, in terms of all these taxes, now this is additional taxes that, right, the Jamaica Labour Party administration now asking the Jamaican people to pay, which is $13 billion. Remember, if we look, we're talking about expected revenue yielded in billions of dollars. And so then the gross total that you are seeing here, it is saying that, of course, an additional $13,524,000,000 that the taxpayers goes and the taxpayers back. Now let us go down to other areas right, as it relates to, we are looking at proposed motor vehicle and driver's license related fees, right? Now, if you notice, right, on the header, right, it tells you about description of the various taxes, and it tells you about the existing fees, right, and on the far right, it tells you the proposed new fees under the Jamaica Labour Party administration. Let us go down into this. Now, when you look at motor car taxes, right, now that coming from, right, 7,700, right, to 9,240 as it relates to motor car taxes. So when you do the differences of that, you will get that figure, right? Take away 7,700 from 9,240. The difference, you will see the difference that you paid in tax. Motor cars not exceeding 119 cc from 7,700 to 9,240, right? Motor car exceeding 1199 c but not exceeding 2999 cc, right, from 10,500 people to $12,600. Now, motor car exceeding 2999 cc but not exceeding 3999 cc, right, from $24,000, an additional $4,800 added to that. Now, motor cars exceeding 3999 cc, right, from $36,375 to know what? $43,650. Motorcycles not exceeding 125 cc from $3,075 to $3,690, and for motorcycle exceeding 125 cc but not exceeding 4,650, additional 5,580, right? The difference between taking away 4,650 from 5,580, the difference is the new tax that been added. Now, motorcycle exceeding 500 cc from 7,125, taking away 8,550 will give you the differences of the new tax added. But basically, there it is as it relates to the evidence in terms of the Jamaica Labour Party administration, right? The different, the other taxes that the Prime Minister, right, administration had been, taxes. There it is, right? And, we don't have to just go through, but we are just showing that the Prime Minister, take away that document and let us go to the panel.
Hold on, no, leave the document up there. Leave the document up for me, please.
Yes.
Go to the, Marie, please, sis, go to the top of that document. I just want to show the people them something. Let's go to the top of the document, please.
Yes.
Very top. All right. Go up. I just want to see the date. I just want to show them. All right, there it is, right there.
Yes.
This was on the 9th of March, 2017. Now, people, when you ask them about when the beaches are going to free up, them say to come. When you ask them about this, them say to come. When you ask them about that, them say it is to come. Everything is to come, except taxes. Taxes is certain. Please scroll up. Let me show the people and the dates. Remember now, people, this paper is 9th of March, 2017. Go up, please. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Stop right there. Go back. Go back, though. Go back. All right. Well on. Keep going. No. Go.
Yep.
All right. Stop right there. Stop right there. No, you're going past it.
I'll pass it.
Go up some more. Yeah.
So, March 13th.
All right. Stop right there. This one is for alcohol. Look at C. It says the last sentence. This measure takes effect the 13th of March. Remember now, it's the 9th of March. Them come with this, Them get the people them note. How many people in Jamaica knew that on the 9th of March they discussed this and they said this increase going to take place on the 13th of March. How many people know that? 4 days later, it take effect. Please go up. This was at 3. Go up to number 2, please.
Go up to number 2.
Number 2.
Yeah.
All right, stop right there. This is a petroleum. Go. Yeah, there's petroleum. D, right?
Yes.
Look at what it says, the last sentence. It says, in keeping with the current pricing cycle of Petrodram, the new regime will be reflected in the pump prices as of the 15th of March. 6 days later, them increase it. And if you go down, Amory, you will see the rest of them. And well, you know, you can't move it because I can tell them because I took notes. For tobacco, you're going. All right, stop right there. Here's another one. This one is which one? For tobacco. Tobacco, it says, in line with the previous SCT-related measure, the measure will take effect the 13th of March. Remember now, people, this document is dated the 9th of March. 4 days later, them raise up the price. How many of you knew that this was going on? You can, as your husband would say, take it away, please.
Take it away. Let us talk to the panel.
Right. But again, see, oil, it was 9th of March. Oil, they raised at the 15th of March. Cigarettes, the 13th of March. Liquor, the 13th of March. The vehicle taxes, the 13th of March. Health, April 3rd. And the electricity thing was April 3rd. This is wickedness, man.
Extremely wickedness. So I want to ask Conrad a question, right? And then, of course, I take it around to the panel. Now, but before I ask Conrad a question, I want to build a background. Now, when we look, Conrad, on our trading as it relates to importation and exportation, we're seeing now that the economy, right, is partially shrinking by 2.8%, almost 3%. Now, let us put this in perspective. We are importing $7.8 billion.
US?
Yes, US. 7.8 billion. But we are only exporting 1.9 billion. The mathematics of my head is that we are in a trade deficit of roughly about $5.8 billion. Where are you going, Mystic Sensation? Now, we know that in the order for our economy to grow, right, you have to manufacture, right? And so you have to move from a service economy to a manufacturing settings. Now, when you look at the Jamaica Labour Party administration, right, going agreement with the JPS, right, as it relates to lower the safety net, right, as it relates to the amount of kilowatt hours, kilowatt that we use, right? Now, let me ask you, Conrad, is the government focusing on moving forward to drive an economy based on, you know, manufacturing, or the government is moving closer in the support of fossil fuel? Because we are seeing, based on what the government had done, is there any focus on renewable energy that would give the economy, right, some breathing life, right, so that economy could able, if you are utilizing, if you are moving from fossil fuel to renewable energy, right, now it wouldn't be that expensive to do certain innovation as it relates to manufacturing and so forth, and so then manufacturing wouldn't be that expensive. Do you see that this administration is focusing on moving us from fossil to renewable energy? You're speaking it, Conrad.
All right. Well, I think I started at the top of the program by saying that when the PNP administration, at the time Philip Paulwell was the Minister of Energy, the cost of production, the cost per kilowatt hour for electricity was 20. I spoke to Philip up to yet this morning to confirm, was 21 US cents per kilowatt hour. Now it over in at 50 US cents per kilowatt hour. And that means that we're going in the wrong direction. And certainly that has a lot of things to do with one economy, because it means that the engine of production is much more costly. To answer your question directly, obviously we are not seeing that mix. One would remember under the Patterson era, Portia Simpson Miller era, what happened, there was a major build out of renewable energy, such as the Wigton wind farm and so on. One of the major projects that the government came in, they took and they basically put on the stock market and sold that and raised a lot of money from it and so on. Those were projects in order to put that diversification in so that we could have a lowering of the cost of energy. And say what you want to say about the energy sector, energy and technology sector in Jamaica. Philip Paulwell is clearly head and shoulder above everybody, and he knows this portfolio. He carries out his job with aplomb. As a matter of fact, I'm on record saying that, in my humble opinion, I believe that Philip Paulwell, when the history is written, will go down as one of the best minister of government that this country has ever seen, based on what he's able to deliver. When I talk about people come with innuendos and come with some story and talk all sort of nonsense, and the deliverable, he's right there. So the short answer to your question, Mystical, is absolutely not. We have not seen one new project of renewable energy put in place under this administration. As Philip says, he don't think that this government really understands the sector. Remember now that one of the things that they have said that we will see the lowering of energy because we're going to have LNG. Oh no, we don't see that. You know, so it's really we're really going in the wrong direction as it relates to that. And that energy is a driver. A driver, if you're going to talk about productivity in terms of manufacturing and whatever, it's really a driver. Even this argument that the Prime Minister put forward about the differential in prices based on the time of use, it's hard for you to benefit from that at all. Because certainly the reason why you have peak period is simply because it is something that we can't really change. Because people go work and we're coming home in the evening. That's the time when we get things going. How are you going to do that? You can't stop work. You're going to stop work and stay home and do the things. It is virtually impossible. You know? So I think that's my closing for the night.
All right. Well, let me just give you because based on Ratty, Ratty, no mind if you see the entire program, but I want to see
I have to run. It's almost 12 o'clock here.
Yes. Conrad, I want to say a big thank you for making it a mystic sensation. I really enjoy all your inputs. Right, as I said, the fireman, you speak it as it is, and you know, obviously, we love you over here. And Conrad, looking for me, you know, anticipating me calling you again on the program. Right, but well done. We really enjoy what you have to offer. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, and same here. I enjoyed the interaction. Sister Marie, Ratty, my brother, my friend. I mean, when Ratty called on me, you know, I just couldn't say no at all. You know, as a matter of fact, the offer, you know, I think your other brother Ratty, he reached out to me this afternoon. Ross Clem asked me to grace him with his present and Saturday morning. So we see how it go. You know, to God be the glory, great things he has done. Honor.
All right.
One love. Mystic. The word is love. And to the missus,
blessings.
All right.
Blessing. And drink some, take a shot of white rum, they say.
All right.
All right. All the best. Take care. God bless you all. Bye-bye.
Okay. So, Sister Maria, so let us continue on the vein that we are on as it relates to, the Prime Minister, right? Is taunting out there as it relates to, him not, his administration not, right, implementing any new taxes. Really and truly, based on what we have seen, right, careless lie, right, we know otherwise. Sister Maria, take it away, please.
Yes, it is disingenuous of the Prime Minister or any member of his administration to say there are no new taxes, because when there's inflation, inflation drives prices up. And whenever you have that, it affects fuel costs. And fuel costs affect everything in a person's life, including food. Because you have to think about transportation, not only just your energy bill, turning the light on or off, but everything in a person's life is affected by fuel costs. So when that goes up, everything goes up, and that is increased, and you're going to get more revenue coming in. And what I've realized with this government is that they're very good at copying ideas, but not good at implementing that which they copied. When you implement something, when you craft a legislation, when you draft it, bring it to Parliament and everything, you work it out to the most minute detail. How you're going to implement it? Because one thing to craft, but you have to implement it. The know-how, how you're going to execute this plan, to put things into place, to make things work for the benefit of the masses. They have been lacking in that. So whatever programs they were in place in the previous administration, as it relates to renewable energy, they talk about it, but they couldn't implement it because they weren't willing to continue as they were forced to, in terms of using the blueprint for the economic development based on the IMF agreement. They did not do the same with the renewable energy. So that is why it fell by the wayside. And I'm going to concur with Conrad in his absence that Philip Paulwell is really has been an effective minister. You see them talking about broadband here and all these internet technology. It started with Philip Paul when he was Minister of Energy in the PJ Patterson administration. So every person, every handicapped man that used to have 2 cell phones, we have to give respects to Philip Paulwell for all of that. The JLP didn't start that. They inherited that. Okay? And some of the things that they have done in terms of setting up hotspots, that was not the proper way to execute it. But again, they didn't draft it, so they cannot implement it. That's another thing. And one thing we have not talked about in terms of the increase of taxes on the people, and another way that it is happening is through traffic tickets. Because the government has been collecting billions of dollars from traffic tickets. So when they come and say there are no new taxes, that is not a true statement. Because it's going up on the food, people are paying more in traffic tickets, energy costs are going up. So everywhere you look, there is an increase. Yet this is the same government who will say no new taxes, but they will come and say, oh, we earned X amount of money from tax revenue last financial year. If you didn't have an increase, you could not have earned that. And they're talking about an increase in what they earned over the previous period. So it's not a fair statement for them to make when they say that. And I would hope for the sake of the people that they do make a sea change and not just play politics, because they're playing politics with people's lives. And the bread and butter issues affects everybody. The only difference is that they are not as affected as poor people are, who are living paycheck to paycheck or hustle to hustle. Not everybody's getting a paycheck. They're basically hustle. How much money can they hustle up for the dinner this evening? How much money they can hustle up this evening to send a child to school tomorrow. So everything is just hustling their way through. So something has to change to make this, to improve the lives of the people of Jamaica in a more tangible way and not just come with pretty talk, because pretty talk don't put pot on the fire. Big speech and buckety week don't mean anything. They need to have some tangible things in place, legislation in place. They commonly say they spend the most money, but we see the least results.
Yeah, Brother Ratty. Okay, I
Yeah.
know that you are going to use the fine grade sandpaper on this subject. So, all right, here you go. All right, so you're in the space, Brother Ratty.
No, with the idea that there is no new taxes, right? And the Prime Minister said it on several occasions. He said, "My
Yeah.
administration, we impose no new taxes." What he did was to nice it up. They enhanced the old taxes, which is new taxes on old taxes. So it's a tax, people. I hope you understand that.
Exactly.
What he did, he never go out and when he say new taxes, he want to say like if you have a bicycle now, you have to pay a tax. That have to be a new tax, right? A new tax and a new item.
Yes.
But when he say no new taxes, when actually are telling her is that me enhance the old taxes, which means me increase the old taxes. So me increase, me put new taxes on old taxes. I hope you understand what me I say, because when you look at it and the way it was done, and the way it was done without much fanfare, without much notification to the people, so people could understand what's going on. I mean, it was incredible. Then the other thing is that, hey, while I'm raking money, I'm tighten the belt on the poor people. Guess who? Them get a big break the other day. People bring in racehorse. You remember, so them drop the taxes. You have no more taxes for bringing in racehorse. You can't bring in, but who can bring in racehorse? You think nobody behind right or so made that? You think them can bring in a racehorse? Them not money for bringing racehorse. How rich people are bringing racehorse? You hear them call it the sport of kings. Sport of kings, right? So, and then the other thing is that if you go back and look at the document, them say we are increasing the tariffs and the taxes on motor vehicles because we want to protect the environment, right? How you protect the environment when you allow more cars to come in the country?
Counterproductive.
Yeah, of course. You're gonna make people bring in more cars in the country, but you said no, we are trying to cut the emissions, the carbon emission. We are trying to cut it. But to make them bring in more cars, and in order to stop them, we have to increase the price. You see, people,
yeah,
they make no sense. No, it's like why all of these promises? And it's a very simple question I ask myself every time I say something like this. I say, why these promises and why no? Why these promises and why no? And I think I can offer some explanation as to why. The poll numbers, they don't look good. The poll numbers definitely, in fact, the gap is widening.
Yes.
And the other thing is, if anybody did have any doubts about the poll numbers, then they can look to the election results.
Definitely.
And when they look and say why the election results kind of tie in with the poll results. And no, they can see that, wait a minute, this don't look good. So we have to give the people them some more promises. We have to give them some things. And then they come up with all of these nonsense. People ask yourself the question, why didn't they do this before? Why them never go to them breaks here before? Why them never honor the 100-day promises? All the other promises when them put in the manifesto, the water promise, the road. Hey, forget about road. We don't want to touch road. We don't want to touch road at all.
Road serious.
If you go back and you look at all of those promises, you said just ask yourself a simple question, Jamaicans. Why is it they never fulfill those promises then? Why is it now on the eve of an election? Because remember, an election going to take place before next year, September, must take place before extend. Unless you have a national disaster, a natural disaster, and then guess who them go talk to? Them go talk to them Kumbolo, the GG, and tell him, say, no, we are going to put it off, and then him sign off on it, and then put off the election. If them have another pandemic or something like that, them can put it up. Although it shouldn't, because the last pandemic, we say we have election during the last pandemic.
Yes.
So, you know, so I don't know how them work out that one day. But yeah, no them work out, but people do not.
And bank account, hold on, Ratigan, not only election, but remember now that that's when he ran most of his business, you know, and shuffle money here and open bank accounts without money. Exactly. So he was, and he studied at the same time too, so he was very busy.
Exactly. So now them know that we have a group of people who watch what's going on in Jamaica, people who have dedicated themselves and their service to Jamaica and Jamaicans. Them have to be careful. Somebody tell me that over the weekend, and them say, you know, so because I wanna do, all I wanna do, it has caused some behavior modification in the way politicians you do business now. No, them after them used to thief in a broad daylight. No, them wait till it does up a little bit. And for them stop with the thief in the sunlight. No. Them stop. Because what we are saying, see
not this group. No. This group is so barefaced and bold that they are doing it literally in front of your face.
No, but them said them
there's nothing you can do about it.
No, them say them used to do it, but them say where we are do now. We are catch what them do a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago. No, right now, them very careful. Them have to say them people are watching, you know, we have to be careful because them all talk about things, you know. So where we are catch up now, what them do already, but no, them say going forward, them cannot be careful now, and them say them. So attribute to what we're doing, and we'll do it because of our love for the Jamaican people. Because at the end of the day, we're all one. And we don't want to see the suffering. And there's no need for suffering. There's too much money come at Jamaica. There's no need for suffering.
Yes.
This what do you call it? This 2-inch barber green, when you're supposed to have 5 inches of barber green. People open to realize that is corruption, you know. And you say, God no sleep, you know. Mother used to tell me all the time, God no sleep. Can you see him come away, him expose the barber green now so you can't see it. Well, you have to dig it up. You can't see it right there. So I said, but hold on there. That are not 5 inches. So then the question is, one to the other 3 inches.
Exactly.
That gun in a pocket. That gun in a pocket. And we are going, with the help of God and with the support of all of you out there who support the One Jamaica Legal Defense Fund and other foundations involved in unearthing and covering the truth, we will get to the bottom of this. Rome never built in a day, you know. I remember it's gone for a long time. So we just ask you to be patient with us. Just be patient with us because we're doing what we can and we will get to the bottom of this. Thank you very much for the space, sir.
Well said. As it relates to what Leon 27 said, road should never be used as a political tool, as it's a basic duty of any administration, which certainly true. Policies which make life more affordable is what people should prioritize from our leaders. So true and well said. Really have to applaud that. And he finished off by saying, bragging about roads is like bragging to your child that you send them to school. Really serious.
It's a duty.
Right? It's a duty. Right? Now, Ratty, we are going to close off. But in closing off, we are going to ask a very troubling question that I want all of us, including the panel and people who are tuning in, listening to us. Ratty, December 6th is significant, and we want to close out with this. Now, let us put out all of the distractions, right? And identify with the true situation at hand. The Prime Minister's statutory declaration. The Prime Minister moved towards the court in terms of, right, that judiciary review. Now, if December 6th comes and the court step on that application, meaning it's not going any further, where do the Prime Minister go from here?
Well, Hell is going to be a hotter place for him. I think he's there right now, and I think it's going to be hotter for him. You know, the movie, you know, hell, them have different levels of heat. You know, so I think they're moving down to a hotter part of hell because when December 6th come and the court ruled that, listen, this lawsuit is frivolous, it's not going anywhere, go home. The only thing left for him to do is to appeal, and I think he will appeal because here's what happened: they might throw him to the dogs. They are going to throw him to the dogs because in dead meat, because this lawsuit, as far as I can see, based on the Integrity Commission Act, based on the Constitution, it's going nowhere. So I'm curious as to see how the judge is going to reason this out. If the judge decides to say, okay, I'm going to move it on so we can have a hearing, you know, judicial review. I'm curious as to see what the reasoning, what the rationale would be for that, because I know what the rationale is for not moving it forward, and that is the Integrity Commission has the legal right, the constitutional right, to conduct an investigation of statutory declaration they deem suspicious. There's nothing can stop them from do that. That is their mandate. That is their remit. That is their responsibility. And so for the Prime Minister to come and say, the Prime Minister, we have to realize is that what he's actually doing, you know, he's actually going to cause Jamaica serious reputational harm when it comes to the corruption index. Because if this judge says, yeah, if the judge says, yes, we're going to repeal the law, then the question is, what other law is there to hold a corrupt politician for illicit enrichment accountable? None. Zero. Okay. So in an idiotic move, he's saying repeal, but there's no replacement. If you're going to repeal, you should have a replacement. You should still say, you don't need to refine it, you don't need to do this. You just say, no, just get rid of it. So if you get rid of it now, then guess what happened now? It's a field day for politicians now. Just thief as much as you can and don't worry, because Integrity Commission, nobody in Jamaica can ask you where you get the money from. So I am anxiously waiting for December 6th to come and see how the judge is going to rule. But I'm almost certain that if there is a ruling to dismiss the case, he's going to appeal. He has no choice. We have to try to save face. He has no choice. I only hope a fee money might use and not the taxpayers' money might use.
Let me just squeeze in the next question, Ratty. So let us, hypothetically speaking, that the Prime Minister appeal, and that appeal extend beyond the election, and the Prime Minister lose the election.
Mm-hmm.
Bang around the Prime Minister, you know?
Yeah, man. Yeah. And you see, this is a case, this is a case that can actually go to the Privy Council, because he might talk about constitutional violations, right? So now you can talk about an interpretation of the statute or what provisions of the Constitution they might talk about, and they might forget say if the Integrity Commission Act, if it violates the Constitution, because if it violates the Constitution, it has to be declared null and void, because the Constitution is the law of the land.
Yes.
So this is a case ripe for not yet, but it will be ripe if from lose and him appeal, him can actually go to the Privy Council with this. But you see what happened? He put himself in a bad place, because what this thing, it just get a momentum. It's not going anywhere because he's involved, and it's a constant thing. It's not somewhere. Let me tell you how. And some people don't like me when I do this. Them say you are giving too much advice. But what he should have done? It's too late for him now. What he should have done? Him should just keep quiet and make it just run its course. The 9-day wonder, and just make it go over to FID. All right, Dr. Clark gone. Him put in favor. Them just set to favor. Listen, kill this thing, because I'm have to come to you and come report and all of that. And she go do it if him tell her that. And even if she doesn't kill it, him just look on the acting DPP and say, listen, guess who prosecute them cases here? You. And you have the right for just not even prosecute, just shut this thing down. So him have two avenues where him could have go to take care of this. If he had just kept his mouth shut, nobody would have. We would have there talk about, hey, what happened to this, what happened to that, not knowing that it already that the fix was in and it already disposed of. But now him go take show off, and you know him ego get involved, and him feel like him are the king of Jamaica. When there's one king of Jamaica, and that's King Charles. It's not him. King Charles is the king of Jamaica when he's in Jamaica. Him go feel him get too big for him in britches, so him go now and him go sue, and guess what happened now? This thing is gonna be there for a long time to come. Him can't run away from this. And if him anything him doing now, him is a loser. If him withdraw it, him is a loser.
Yes.
If the judge rule for him, there's going to be an appeal as well. Him are gonna lose again. Eventually, he's going to lose. So this man is finished. So the only thing left for we do now, you know, is just creep up wherever money missing and him, where we think he might have in a bank where no fee one wherever money we think that he might have that was not legitimately earned. We have to determine that. And once we determine that, then that money belongs to the people of Jamaica. Then we're going to have to go return it. And we have to look overseas to see if I'm having a bank book. And by the way, the CG in New York, if you hear me, the investigators them need to talk to you because you were in constant touch with this prime minister, and we know that you were involved in the financial industry, and we just want to know if you were involved in setting up any foreign accounts or investments for him. We don't know, but we think we should know. We should ask you the question. So FID, Egmont Group, FBI, whoever listen to me, State Department,
stand alert.
The first person of interest I'm not supposed to look upon in America is the CG out of New York. Alcian Roach, whatever her last name is. The lady who got sued for non-payment of rent for a nail bar over in New Jersey while conducting government business. She's the one, the same one, who may have violated international protocols because you cannot be a diplomat in a foreign country and at the same time have commercial interests running. And that's exactly what she did. Privé nail bar, she said a few. She took ownership of that. And we have the documents from court saying that the landlord said she's not paying her rent for most of 7, 8 months, whatever. And him sue she and a gentleman believed to be her husband and the nail bar. So anyway him go. I checkmate. Him lose. Checkmate. It's over.
Blessing.
I just the people them know, you know. I just the people them know if you nail up the coffin now, you know. Just the people them know. And all of my people them who live at Tower Isle. All of my people them who live at, as I'm calling it, Olympic Gardens. All of my people them who live at Compound. All of my people them who live some parts of Waterhouse. All of my people them who live at Cockburn Pen. Election are coming up. Election is coming. And on the need for make an informed choice. Need for make an informed choice. This man is not king. He's not prince. He's an ordinary Jamaican like you who by the grace of God and some shenanigans him end up with him there. No need for examine him carefully. I can't tell if I vote for him or not vote for him. All I'm saying to you, become educated, become familiar with the issues, and vote your conscience. Thank you.
Well, let me just say something in terms of asking Sister Maria, right? Do you have anything to say at the end here? Right, we'd love to hear your closing, Sister Maria. Go ahead.
Yeah, I concur with everything that Ratigan said. What he said earlier that Andrew should have just sit it on and make it ride it out. But you know something, would have beat him like Sangster's donkey if he had made a mistake too. So going to the courts with his narcissistic behavior, and I don't think, I am going to have to put some faith in the judicial system in Jamaica and say that they would rule against him, because I don't think they would want to have the appealed all the way to the Privy Council to be embarrassed again, like what happened with Vibes Cartel. That was a constitutional violation. I don't think that they want that to happen, because these are bright people. They should not be doing Andrew's bidding for him. He's a prime minister. He needs to set a better example. And if he thinks that the Constitution doesn't apply to him, then if he take for himself and let somebody who respects the Constitution take over and run the country. And anybody who feels that they are bigger than the Constitution needs to remove themselves from public office. And that's just what I have to say. And it was a great show. Thanks, for having me on and everything again. And, I do look forward to doing this again. And to everybody in the chat, a wonderful night. But God bless. Yeah, man.
All
Happy
right.
Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving to all of the people who celebrate Thanksgiving.
Exactly.
Yeah, happy Thanksgiving. Yes, yes.
I want to give my closing statement in saying, based on the way our Mystic Sensation, looking at things as it relates to the Prime Minister, I think that the Prime Minister is in a conundrum, right? And I honestly believe in our jurisprudence, right? I think we have some excellent judges, right? And I think that our judiciary is going to come through. I do believe that, right, in terms of protecting the rails of justice. So I think that the Prime Minister is really in a conundrum. And, that is my take on it, that, obviously, we are anticipating justice to be done. And I think we are going to see justice, right? So, yes, that is it. And I want to say big up to Legris, right? One of our administrators, Legris Beckford, always working, right, administratively in the chat, right? Telling the people to, like the live and doing all that stuff. We want to say big thanks to Legris. We really appreciate everything what Legris Beckford is doing. Big up yourself, Legris. Love that, right? So we want to say a big thanks to all the people who, come out and to tune in Mystic Sensation, right, and continue to take in the message from our vibrant and brilliant minds, right? Daisy Magazine, Will Rattigan, and we have seen Conrad O'Brien, the fireman himself, and we are looking, again to have him back in studio. I want to say to all folks, right, locally and in the diaspora, once again, a big thanks. I want to say, Ratty, thank you so much. Daisy, thank you so much to make it Mystic Sensation. Bless upon yourself. All right.
Big up, big up, big up.
Blessings.
Okay, guys. So thank you so much for tuning in. Really appreciate everybody's continued support until
Boy, honey, your voice sounds beautiful.
Until Thursday when you're
on the Titans.
And then we'll be back on Friday.
All right.
And Rattigan will have his program, should have his program tomorrow.
Remember to go over by Rattigan, right, and support Brother Rattigan tomorrow. All right. So Thursday on the Titan. And I know that Father Lonesome is gathering all the, you understand, the good topics over there, right? And waiting for, us to come and dissect. You understand? Titans Cannot Miss Me is a program that I love dearly to my heart. So big up. See you Thursday on the Titans. Blessings, my friend.
One love.
One love.